Welcome back to the Stupidest Podcast. This is your host, Justin Vandeventer, and with me is the bald, the aging, the really ugly dude.
Who's that?
Oh, I thought I was going to get you.
What? I don't. Well, I thought normally it's me, but you're not describing me properly.
It was kind of weird. He was looking at me when he was saying it.
Oh yeah. Oh man. We got Ricky on. We're not talking about Ricky.
I would never talk about either of you like that. I love you both.
I think he. But anyways, my name is Justin Rademacher with the Stupidest Podcast.
My co-host.
And nope, not. No. I'm also a host. We're both hosts. But we have a co-host. We have a co-host today.
Yes, we do. Who do we got with us?
We got Ricky.
Rick Kangas with us. We're going to talk a little bit about handgun permits.
And how to talk without bourbon.
Well, he fed us. He fed us, man. You can't feed me a bunch of food and expect my body not to make some noises.
He's the first guest to provide snacks for us.
I know.
This is awesome.
Delicious.
We got meatballs. We got veggies. He gave me an entire veggie tray because of Sober October.
Yeah, I fell off.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
I'm still going strong. It's only a little bit more to go. So,
well, as a listener to the podcast, that's I knew that was something that we needed to do for you.
Well, I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Ricky. That's awesome. No, I really appreciate it. I mean, I'm drinking my water. I got the fruit and or not fruit, veggies. But I'm gonna eat those veggies.
You can tell he eats a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know what they are.
They're similar.
Shove it in there.
One of them's usually got
green.
One of them's got a peel, right? Like a banana. I've heard that.
What he doesn't know is what we eat. Poops on what he eats. So whatever.
That's good.
Well, I mean, I eat that stuff too. It's just I also eat the other stuff.
The poop?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's got to be something positive there.
Not judging. Not judging.
So, how you been?
Not too bad. Just a lot of working. I actually got to play disc golf in between work today.
Nice.
Which was kind of nice. I took a little, instead of doing my regular lunch break, Shan was actually off for the day. So she was at home and she's like, you want to throw some discs? I'm like, yeah, of course I want to throw some discs.
Shan, nice.
Dude, she's getting into it.
Dude, I know she kicked my butt the last time we played up
yeah,
there,
and
so.
she's got a forehand and a backhand. Like she's killing it right now.
Dude, I think she could dominate in a
Well, she's
division.
married, so she's got a backhand. So I'm kidding.
No.
I don't even know her.
No, she's a really cool girl, but
she's really cool.
She's really good at disc golf now. Like I feel like she would do really well in a tournament.
Well, how many holes did you get in?
We actually got 8. No, we didn't get 18. We got 13 holes in.
That's not bad though for a lunch break.
Yeah, it was within an hour. We got 13 in.
Oh,
so
nice.
Because what is it? So someone that doesn't do disc golf, how long does it take to do 18?
It's a lot quicker than like traditional golf, the ball golf. It depends on the course too, because there are long courses and then there's wooded courses. So, I mean, it depends on
just roughly
your typical run of the mill course.
Let's say 45 to an hour for 18.
And that's walking?
Or actually, no, let's say an hour.
Yeah, you're walking.
Let's say an hour.
You're not running or anything, right?
No. You're just walking. It's super slow pace. You just walk up to your disc. You throw it. Who's ever behind?
Just kind of that part's courtesy, just like regular golf.
Just like regular golf, Yep. It's basically the same thing as golf, except instead of hitting a ball, you're throwing a disc.
Right.
So.
And not to sound ignorant, but I seen on some guy got a pretty big deal.
A very big ace.
Which is cool.
Or not ace.
No.
He's talking about the contract for...
the product contract. That guy got what was it, $1 million? Or I don't know what it was. But it was it was a big deal.
I think he got a bigger contract than Paul.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that, I guess. No, Paul Macbeth got a really big one, a $10 million contract.
God, I can't remember
I don't remember this guy's name either, because obviously I'm not into disc golf.
Was it James Conrad?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, it wasn't even like... I mean, he's a big name.
Yeah.
He's probably a top 15, top 20 guy. God dang, I can't remember his name, but he...
I'd bring this in, I did. Sorry.
The only difference with like his contract and Paul, he signed a lifetime contract.
Oh, okay.
And
is it a yearly thing that he gets then, or is it like...
I think it was just one large lump sum.
Wow.
I think. I didn't read the
That's
right. But it's cool that it's growing because, you keep listening to podcasts. You guys are, obviously into it, but all of a sudden you hear the popularity. Now they're starting to get sponsorships and contracts and where people can.
Conrad really put a big boost.
I was going to say, I thought that's what you were talking about, that big throw-in that he had at Worlds.
No, that was insane. Even I saw that. I was like, what?
Yeah, I thought that's what you were talking about. That was insane. That was huge.
That thing looked like it was going forever too, and then it just kind of drifts in there. You're like, no, and then boom, it's in the basket. You're like,
all the investors in that freaking tournament were probably just like, cha-ching.
Yep. Well, it's crazy. MVP just signed him this year, and then that happens.
Boom, right?
Yeah. So
he was their first big signing.
Yep. Yeah, because Josh and I, we've been talking about like who we would be sponsored by. We use a lot of MVP discs. And so, like, I feel like I would lean towards them. I mean, there's definitely other discs that I use. I use some Discraft.
I'd be an Innova guy.
I use some Innova.
It's just like bowling balls. I mean, it's like everybody's got something that it works for them.
Exactly.
I think every sport.
Well, yeah, it's just like anything, right? It's just everybody, you told me that a long time ago when I got into bowling, how you throw a ball is not how I'm going to throw a ball. How you strike a golf ball is not how I'd strike, right? So the equipment is going to vary from person to person, And
a good driver for me might not be a
exactly
good driver for
right.
you, a regular golfer.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like disc golf. I mean, there's definitely discs that I love that
might not work for me, or whatever.
Not a lot of people like.
Well, like in bowling, some of my equipment on the oil pattern probably wouldn't be good for Roddy.
Right.
Well, especially because
you have way more revs.
Yeah. Yeah, my
revs. You're a lefty too. I forget.
No, I'm not a lefty.
Oh, you're righty.
I'm a righty.
So,
Mr. Advantage over there.
I know.
Yeah.
Get off my line.
Everybody calls it an advantage.
I feel like we should
it's an advantage until it becomes tournament time.
We got to mess with his line sometime just to show him.
That. Just throw a backup ball for a while.
Throw
just
a backup
to mess up
ball
the line.
for a while.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't like that.
No, that'd be fun. I'd like that.
That'd be fantastic.
Sweet. Well, what have you been up to, Ricky? What's going on with you?
Just working, man.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, grinding away at work. We're really busy, and then
no problem.
It's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that
especially
problem
nowadays.
Yeah.
And then it's fall, right? So out in the stand, bow hunting a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. As you saw in the garage too, we don't snowmobile much anymore, but we're still dabble. We're selling sleds, buying sleds, fixing sleds.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Just once it's in your blood, that 2-stroke smoke, you just can't
get it out.
You just can't get rid of it,
Yeah.
Like my dad always said, put some in your pocket, take it home for the kids.
What have you been up to?
Not much, man. Just slaving away at work. We're doing fall cleanups now, so
okay.
I'm not getting much
scramble
sleep.
mode. Yeah, I know. When we talked the other day, I was like, I don't envy you right now,
dude. When I got here and you had the meatballs, and I was like,
you're like, yeah,
dude. All I've eaten today is a burger.
It's not. It don't last long enough. No,
dude. I was just talking to the guys at work. And I go, dude, I'm gonna die here pretty soon. They go, what do you mean? I go, I haven't eaten anything this week.
Mm-hmm.
I go, what we have at lunch? That's all I've eaten. I
Right.
haven't had time for breakfast. By the time I get home for dinner, it's long gone.
I remember being an apprentice in the sheet metal trade, and you'd work outside, and it'd be, in the wintertime. So it's 10 below, whatever. And I'd have to go to night class 2 nights a week. And you're sitting there and you go back into a warm environment and you could eat whatever, but you still couldn't keep. You'd be like crashing in class.
Yeah,
it was horrible. Sure. It was horrible.
Snowplows like that.
When you're especially if you're in and out of the truck, that fresh air and that, you're working out, especially when it's cold out.
Yeah.
It takes a toll. No doubt.
People are like, oh, you probably got the heat on in that truck.
Not really.
Because the heat's going to put you right to sleep.
Yeah, you want you want it to be cooler.
Yeah,
Keep you awake.
Yep.
For sure.
I know my grandpa used to have a tactic to keep himself awake. He didn't work out outside, but he had a really long drive one day. He had to drive from, I think it was either South or North Dakota all the way to Wisconsin. And so the way that he kept himself up is he would stop every 20 to 30 minutes at a McDonald's and he'd buy a fresh new coffee. And he'd grab the coffee. He wouldn't drink a sip of it. He would just hold it over his lap.
because he knew it spilled.
So if it spilled, he would not be having some fun.
It's
So
called motivation, right there.
it
right?
kept him awake. That's for sure.
My dad was a welder. He graduated high school in '65, but when he came down to the cities, he worked at a foundry in Bloomington. And when the Vietnam War started, he could work. He was working second shift, but he could work third shift too. So he was working second and third shift. So he's 16-hour days, right? Though overnight, he said so this is probably not a good thing, but they would go to the cutting torch and turn on the oxygen tank and just breathe in all that pure oxygen. Said, dude, it felt like he took a 2-hour nap. Said you're just hopping on that.
Wow.
Pure oxygen.
I never did that.
Yeah. So don't do that. But
yeah, it doesn't sound super safe.
It's probably not the safest thing to do, but I know
you probably pulled it away a little bit.
But you hear about the fighter pilots back in World War II, back in the day when they could drink, in the wartime environment, and they would get in the airplane, and even when they're on the ground, they were huffing oxygen so they'd sober up.
Oh, wow.
Quicker. Yeah.
Jesus.
Right?
Man, we got to get an oxygen tank for the show, just in case,
That's a stupid idea.
No, well, it's the stupidest podcast.
Well, there you go.
That's why I suggested it.
Boom.
I'll take a nitrogen tank.
Helium.
Yeah. That'd make the show fun.
Right?
Might make it sound better, too.
Start imitating voices. Who do I sound like?
So,
do we want to get into it? Let's
go for it.
Yeah, do we want to get to know Ricky, our guest? Well, the reason why we brought Ricky on is just he's a really good friend of ours, and we want to get to know him a little bit better, and we want you guys to get to know him a little bit better. And I feel like we got a really good topic hour that's going to be coming up.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some gun safety. So we're going
gun safety and handgun permits.
Yep.
Oh, carry.
Carry permits. Permit to carry.
Permit to carry.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be talking about that. But first, I just want to get to know you. So, Ricky, what do you do for a living? And what do you like to do outside of work?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. No. So currently, I work at a company called Nordstrom Sheet Metal. We do architectural sheet metal work. So the best way to describe it, like if you go to Cabela's in Riders, right, that green metal roof, would be something that our company would do. What I do there is I do AutoCAD drawings. So you get a set of plans from the architect, and then what we have to do then is draw what our interpretation of it is, or what the product that we're going to use. This is how we're actually going to install it. This is what it would look like, and that, so we can get approval. So you're taking something that from 2-dimensional, you got to envision it in 3D, and then draw it back in 2D or whatever. But so, and then because it's a kind of a twofold deal, because obviously we got to get approval from the architect, but we also have it as a footprint for the field guys, and so they can see, all right, this is how we're supposed to put this on the wall, right? So it'll work, right? So I do that. Obviously, we're going to be talking about this later, but I also am a firearm instructor for a company called Armed with Options. It's in Elk River. It's a great lady I work for, Wendy Brown. We'll talk about that. But so we've been doing a lot of, a fair amount of carry permits. I also am a firearm safety instructor with the DNR, so we do the youth or anybody that doesn't have a firearm safety, permit that wants to hunt. Because if you're anybody born in the 80s, so January 1st, 1980 or later, you have to have a firearm safety permit if you want to hunt. So Roddy, if you wanted to go hunting, you'd have to take the class, and
okay,
right. So somebody that was 79 or older, you wouldn't have to. But I always tell people, just take the class.
Yeah,
if you haven't, just take it, because you're always going to pick up something that.
Is that an age thing, or is that just forever?
It's ever. That was grandfathered in.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. And there's other states, though, I know, like Colorado, and there's other states where it doesn't matter how old you are. You got to have one. Kansas has another one, too, off the top of my head. So if you're going to hunt out of state, you better make sure if you don't have one that you get one.
Yeah.
Is there states that you don't have to have one?
I think most states, I can't, because I can't keep up with the laws, but I know most states, if you're a youth, there's some sort of firearm safety. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, because it's something.
Well, it's like giving keys to a kid and having them drive a car with no instruction. It's like, okay.
I thought maybe Texas. I was like, well, Texas.
Well, they're born with a gun, right?
That's why I asked. I was like, well, maybe.
Right.
So
I do that. And then occasionally I work at River City Extreme. I work in the pro shop and I drill bowling balls. So
Yeah.
it's still, I don't do that as much as I used to, but it's still fun to kind of do it as, still kind of be involved. Because I bowl, I like to bowl.
Right.
I like a lot of frustrating sports, but
Kind of thinking about that. I haven't drilled a bowling ball in
years probably.
7 years?
Yeah.
8 years, and I used to do it all the time.
I know. I looked at your equipment there because we bowled a tournament here together not that long ago, and I'm like, man, he still throws that stuff, but it still works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He must have had somebody good drill his ball.
Must have had somebody else.
He definitely didn't do it.
His mentor.
No, that's the one thing that I didn't have the opportunity to do at River City. Like I did almost every job. I didn't cook, and I didn't do the pro shop.
Right.
Those are the two that I did.
The only reason I did the pro shop was because there's so many people that kept coming in and asking about the pro shop.
Right.
And the thing was never open.
Right.
Oh, so you just
So
took
I was
the
like, all right,
initiative
somebody's
and-
got to teach me because I'm tired of this.
Right.
See, I didn't take the initiative. I was just like, it's closed. That was it.
It'd be
closed.
yeah. And it's fun. It's fun dealing with people. I like dealing with people. So obviously, if you're an instructor, you better get used to dealing with people.
Right.
But
Yeah.
because you're gonna have good experiences, bad experiences. But it's just fun, especially kids. I don't know what it is, but I don't know what it whether it's you're teaching them how to fish, teaching them how to hunt, or whatever. Get them into a bowling ball or whatever. I don't care what it. Teaching them how to drive a car or whatever. I mean, whatever it is, it's just some rewarding about it, especially when it comes to kids. Getting them.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get you in some activity so you're off the couch doing something.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
for sure.
Plus, I mean, they kind of have to listen to you because, I mean, you either have a gun or a bowling ball you can throw at them. So they
Right.
have to listen to
Right.
you, right?
Now, ask me who I'd rather work with,
Who'd you rather work with?
boys or girls.
Boy,
do you think?
who do you?
Oh, I'm going to say girl.
I'll say boy just to be the opposite.
Okay. What do you think? So you say
I'm
girls?
saying
Yeah,
girl,
it is
yeah.
girls. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wrong.
Like when we had our archery shop, you get a group of Boy Scouts in, and you're like trying to teach them all this. They're like, just give me the bowl. I'm going to fling it.
Oh,
Grip
they
it,
think
grip
they
it,
know
rip
what
it,
they're
yeah.
doing,
A
all
girl
right?
And
wants
they-
to learn.
Oh, yeah. And they did too. They would listen to you. And then about 5 minutes in, the Girl Scouts, they're out shooting the Boy Scouts. So then the boys are like, oh, can you show me? Oh, well,
now you wanna learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Oh, now you want?
Well, isn't it a girl is actually more steady than a guy?
I don't know. It must be their heartbeat or something. But I know when we had youth league in there too, like top 10, it was 50-50. It would happen would be girls.
Nice.
Oh yeah, it was, and that was cool because these guys are like, "Ooh, you're good." And I'm like, whoa.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Well,
They're just better than
I'll tell
you.
you what, because I learned that the hard way. Because I remember being about 11 or 12, and we were plinking at my dad's place there. So Grandpa had a single shot 22, and we were shooting, and Mom comes up like, "Hey, let me try," and I'm like, girls can't shoot. My dad just looked at me like, "Oh, you're about to get him," and she outshot us, and I'm like, and then she left, and then he's like, and it's funny with my dad. Never wasn't college educated or anything, but he's like, if you learn anything from me right now, is you never underestimate what a woman can do.
Yeah.
And that I've taken that to green,
Yeah.
I've taken that to heart, I guess,
Yeah.
because I really
Oh,
do that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you believe that.
Right.
Full-hearted.
Well, that's how I met my wife, as when we were racing snowmobiles, when I ran into her and her dad in,
Not on the snowmobile, right?
no, well, I don't think so. But I ran into him at the pits, and she was like, "You talk to both of us." And I go, "Well, why? You race snowmobiles,
Yeah.
and even if you didn't, I'd still talk to both of you. I mean, it's just
Right.
out of respect." But
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's how I was brought up or whatever. But obviously, through my lesson there or whatever. But yeah, it's you see a lot of guys do that, and you're like, "Oh, that's not a good thing."
No.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, because even when I taught for the sheet metal workers, women, really good welders, their drafting is skills are so good. I mean, some of the best pinstripers in the world, you guys, are actually women because their hands are steady.
steadier,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, they just don't get the rapport, and
Pinstriping, that's a lot.
because there's a lot of male-driven things, like working on cars or
Yeah.
guns and this and that. And they think it's male, and it's like, I tell you what, there's a lot more women doing that stuff now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else? That's the 3 that I'm currently on.
Okay.
I did work for a driving school at one point. I drove a school bus here not too long ago too. So, you name it, I've probably done it.
Yeah. We have a school bus story coming up too.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna have to talk about that in a
Oh,
little
yeah.
while. You know what we're talking about.
I'm gonna have to hear.
Oh
it.
yes, I know.
Yeah.
I know exactly
Oh,
what you're
well,
talking
yeah,
about.
we got that coming up.
Yeah.
So look forward to anything.
I don't know
that,
if it's a school bus, but it's a bus.
Yeah, it's a bus. And then, so that was like what you do for a living. Is there? What do you like to do outside of that?
Okay,
or I know
so obviously
there's going to be some overlap. but-
Obviously, hunting, hunting, fishing, bowling, golf.
Hey, we got him in the golf league this year.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
that was frustrating as hell. I'm not gonna
Still
lie.
fun though.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna
Big
have to.
time. Well, next year we'll go see our buddy.
Gets you out though.
Yeah. Oh, it does. And then
I mean-
the fact, so you're golfing, and then you're golfing every week. So there's not like I golf and you wait 2 weeks and golf again.
Yeah.
This way, you're golfing more
It
and more
forces,
regular.
Yeah, it forces you.
I think it really helps the short game.
Yeah.
The touch. I think it would probably be the same thing with disc golf too.
Oh, yeah.
Just the touch. You know, if you don't do it for a while, you're like, oh man.
Yeah, I didn't do it for a month, and I struggled.
It's like
for a
you're
while.
like, you feel like you're not like you're starting over, but you're like, man,
Yeah,
what in the world
just
is going on?
Yeah, I'm just starting now to see some scores that are reflective of how I was playing before.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm still not consistent yet. I got to get back to the consistency.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself. I haven't touched a disc since our vacation, and
Oh wow.
Anna's calling me every day like, "Hey, we got a contract here." Wait.
I
Right.
haven't gotten any of them calls. What the hell?
I know. And it's funny too, life. You know, as a parent too, it's just and well, granted, mine's now a freshman in college, but so we're empty nesters in a sense, but it's still, it's always like seeing like someone's calling, hey, I need this or I need that. And you're like, holy cow. Next thing you know, it's the weekend again. You're like,
Yeah.
what just happened to my week?
Yep.
So
Yeah, the time flies.
it does. Well, you know, Mickey Rooney that said that, you know, life is like toilet paper. The further you get in, the faster she goes.
Yeah.
he wasn't lying. It's
Yeah,
a great
it's-
analogy.
It is a good analogy.
Mhm. Mickey Rooney has another one. That guy was so funny too.
I thought that was Mickey Mouse that said that. No?
No.
I'm mistaken.
No.
That was my bad.
Mickey,
No,
Rooney, I haven't heard
Mickey
that
said,
name
Minnie, get your hands off of Goofy.
That's funny.
before. All right. Well, what were you like as a kid?
Ooh. The law is the statute of limitations. So actually, I was a rough kid. I was hyperactive.
Troublemaker?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh my god.
What kind of trouble?
Oh,
All of it?
boy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, wrecking this, wrecking that. Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, it was terrible. And I was funny too. I was one of those kids. I remember, you know, I was stubborn too, so I was like, I'm not gonna get potty trained. You know, so you know, my mom did.
We're still working on it. We'll get on
Right.
it.
So my mom buys a pair of cowboy boots that were just like my dad's, and then she puts them on the top shelf in my bedroom, or in the what do you call it?
Bedroom?
In
The closet. In
Okay,
the
in the
closet, in that
closet,
top
yeah.
drawer in the closet. And so I couldn't reach them, you know, and she's like, only big boys wear cowboy boots. I was potty
Oh.
trained in about 20 minutes.
Wow. So
I'm
you
like, that
learned
was
how to.
evil. Oh, yeah. Well, I knew how. It was
Yeah.
just my mom's like, you just didn't want to do it.
You
know?
needed the motivation.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. But yeah, and then obviously as you know, you got older, you got, you know, mellowed out a little bit.
Yeah.
At least I think so. And you got into sports and school stuff. But I was kind of it was awkward. I was really, I was awkward. I didn't date until my senior year of high school.
Okay.
I only dated one gal, you know. Was into cars, and it just high school was so cliquey, you know.
for
And
sure.
if I
Still
wasn't
always
in,
is.
you know, and as a motorhead, or you know, you like sleds and cars and this and that. So we had a really small group of guys, but we always parked in the back of the parking lot. We all had old cars, and the cars are older than we were, you know, like 68
Yeah.
Chevelles and Camaros and, you know, Mustangs, all this stuff. So that
What'd
was
you have?
kind of cool. I had a 68 Chevelle,
Nice.
Nice.
307, the 2-speed power glide. Yeah,
Oh.
slush box. Hell yeah,
What color?
Nice.
it was gray with duct tape interior.
That is awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Bet you wish you still had it.
no.
No?
No.
No, I had a 71 Monte Carlo I bought when I was probably about 20. And that was the car was from California, and it was a 350, but it only had a 2 barrel, but it had factory air, factory tinted windows. It was just a cruiser. It was like this copper color, and it had a white vinyl top, but it was a nice stereo system. And oh yeah, it was a nice car. I had a '66 Corvette.
Wow, jeez. You've had some good cars.
Oh yeah. My mom and dad still have that car. They converted that from a small block to a big block. That's a big block car.
Dang, I want to get down to this. I had a 91 Chevy Lumina.
Days of Thunder, baby.
It was a sweet ride. Yeah,
Days of Thunder.
They had Luminas, yeah.
Only one of the two doors worked.
Wasn't the Lumina 4-door though?
Not mine.
They made a 2-door.
They did,
and
it
mine
was very rare. And he had one.
I had one,
okay,
and it had and the handle, instead of being like horizontal where it should be,
was
it was vertical right here, and it broke on the driver's side. So I had to get in my car on the passenger side, unless I left the window down, so I could grab the door on the inside to open it.
I had a buddy that had a '69 Chevy pickup, had 3 on the tree. Oh my god! And we're driving to school, and he breaks the shifter.
Oh no!
And he's like, open the glove box. And I'm like, what? And then inside the glove box, there's a big ass screwdriver. And I handed it to him. Shoved her in there. Keeps right on going. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
it wasn't the first time.
Obviously, it wasn't the first time it's happened to him.
Yeah, and we had them old breaker point ignitions. So, you always had a fingernail file and a second set of points just in case. Oh, yeah, man. Those were the days.
I had a buddy in high school that was like a '66 Mustang.
Yep.
And to unlock his door, there was a certain spot that you just
wrapped it and the lock would pop up.
Yeah. Oh man! Yeah.
Like you go in with the key, you churn it, and it wouldn't churn, and then he'd kind of rub it, and I think it was part of his measurement
because
rub
it probably an indentation in the door, right?
And then the lock would pop right up.
Yeah, you know that Monte too was weird. You locked the door, you push the deal down and lock the door. You actually had to hold the button in though when you shut the door so it wouldn't pop back up. Yeah. And that car still had that car still had the dual seatbelt thing where you had the shoulder strap was separate from the lap belt, so it was still on a 2. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they still had the high beams on
the floor. Oh, these kids nowadays, they would not know what to do. They would lose their mind.
They wouldn't know how to turn them on. I wouldn't know how to turn them on.
Yeah, it was a little button on the floor that you stepped on.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And if you got really old, the oldest car I ever drove was a '48 Chevy. And that car, then it even had the starter was on the floor too. You had to push that. There's a button, a bigger button kind of by the gas pedal.
Yeah.
You had to push that in to actually start the car.
Wow.
Let's start putting the gas tank back in the trunk.
Right? Behind the license plate.
Yeah, behind the license plate. Where's the kids today would never know where it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't know.
I know.
I'm one of these kids.
Roddy's lost right now.
Yeah. If you guys,
that's how my money was. Yeah.
We are the same
bodies.
They stopped doing that because it was considered dangerous because if you got rear-ended,
your gas tank was fire.
The
Pinto.
Sense, yeah.
That's what the Pinto was notorious for. Mm-hmm. The Ford Pinto.
Just exploding on impact.
Well, it would just start on fire.
Okay.
I mean, it was an amazing car to begin with.
It's a classic. Yeah.
Who doesn't want a Ford Pinto?
Right, exactly. It's American muscle, right? Ford Pinto. Right?
It's like the Mustang too?
Oh. Yeah.
Another dream car.
Mm-mm.
So is it my turn?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so you're the only guest that has provided snacks so far.
Nice.
And I just wanted to thank you for that. Like,
sure.
You gave us meatballs. Yeah. You got that veggie tray. Yeah. You got all this stuff. You gave me meal for my water.
Right, yeah.
You set me up. What is it, like, in your life that, like, made you so hospitable? You know? Like, is there something that maybe that you can lead that to? Or is that just who you are?
Yeah, just how I was raised. I think, parents always kind of taught me to, respect other people. It doesn't matter what their beliefs or views and stuff are. You still, and then my grandma, I think it was my dad's mom. Oh my God. It was like, you go there, and it was, you'd have pre-breakfast, breakfast, after breakfast. Oh, you look hungry. Pre-lunch, and you have lunch, after lunch. I know. It was just, yeah. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, because you texted us was it yesterday or the day before?
Yep.
What do you guys want for drinks? What do you want for snacks?
I knew you were coming down too. So
yeah.
I was like, I gotta have something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Man. I was starving.
Yeah.
It was a late day for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you hooked us up. I'm full. I still got a meatball left and half a veggie tray.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite memory of us? Since we've all hung out a few times before this, and we've known each other for quite a while. What's your favorite memory?
All right. Well, I'm going to do this in 2 parts.
Okay.
The first time I met you before.
He's talking about Roddy.
I was talking about, I've known Vandy before I met Roddy.
Yeah.
So the first time that the two of you together was, you had talked about this with Tom here not that long ago. You were talking about Moonlight Bowling. And none of us would be sitting here if it wasn't for Petey. So first time I met Petey at the archery shop, I was sitting there helping a customer work on a bow, and he was struggling with this bow. So I actually was shooting it, and it was at full draw, and all of a sudden I hear this boom, and I'm like, what was that? Somebody had shot an arrow into the structural steel. It was like, oh yeah, it was an accidental discharge.
Petey?
Oh yeah. And he was right. He was trying this hinge release, and there's all these different types of releases, but hinge releases, once you get it back, you keep pulling, and then you rotate, boom, through the shot. And it's for people that want to kind of be surprised with the shot going off. Well,
it's also how you get a black eye.
He punched himself right in the face. Oh yeah, I mean he got.
If you don't pull back right, and you twist your wrist,
you hinge it, you release it.
It'll release,
and it just gets you right in the eye.
It punched him right in the lip.
Yeah.
So
there's no button or nothing.
It's
just all.
It's just a manual.
Technique. It's technique.
Once it gets so much pressure.
Well, you can set them up that way, but a lot of them too is once you get back, you can just slightly rotate and you roll it off the hinge, so to speak. But
so that's one of the advanced moves,
right? Yeah, and he punched himself right in the face. And I was pissed because I'm like, I'm trying to help this customer in that.
I gotta admit, I did too the first time I ever used one.
I wasn't a fan of him either, but he's bleeding. I'm like, but then come to find out, he worked right across the street. So then he was coming in every day, and that's how we became friends. But then he was like, dude, you got to get into bowling. I was like, all right, fine. So then that's how I met Bandy. And then he's like, dude, we got to go to Moonlight Bowling. You're going to have someone. This is some of the most fun you have with your clothes on. I'm like, oh, let's go try this. So, and then that's when I met the two of you. And you probably don't remember this, Roddy, but the one deal you had to get, you were like, I'll give you $2 if you go dirty dance on that woman right over there. So I'm over there. And I'm grinding, and I am grinding on this chick, and she's like a dog, in the springtime, like, get off my leg, right? And you're like, I'm not feeling it. You're not selling it. I'm like, oh my God, what do I got to do here? That was so funny.
I think I slightly remember that.
Yeah, and it was. You guys really did a good job. It was so funny.
I just remember ripping on you for all the
gutter balls. Oh my God!
I still got them saved in my phone as Ricky the Gutter King.
Yep.
Nice.
Right.
And
you're not driving home, are you? Because you spent more time in the ditch than you are. That was so funny. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to rip on people.
Oh.
It was so funny. It was ripping on Ricky.
Yep.
And then within a matter of like freaking probably a month or two, he was throwing 200 games.
Right. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
He went from freaking barely breaking 100.
Yeah. Rolling
becoming
200s.
a bowler.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. That's such a fast turnaround.
Right. So, but here's the classic, right? So, I was probably your first podcast you guys did. You were talking about Cold Spring.
Yeah.
Talking about Cold Spring. So let's dissect this a little bit. Yeah. So we were stay bowling in Alexandria, and this is what do you want to call it, the day after thing or whatever. But we were all at the hotel bar, and a couple of you guys were enjoying yourselves or whatever, and then this bachelorette party comes in, right? And a friend of ours who happens to be handicapped or whatever, they just start mauling this guy, and it was in good humor,
Well, he didn't want to get on the dance floor.
No, not at first. I was like, bro, you rolled him out. You're like, no, you're out there, yeah.
Yep.
And next thing you know, like, hey, this isn't half bad,
He loved it,
right? So, and then you were macking with these chicks, and both you guys. It was good humor, and I'm kind of watching this right from the sideline, right? So it's Mr. Sober here. And all of a sudden, you're like, dude, they're going to Cold Spring, man. You think you hook us up? I go, well, we'll talk. You know, I'm like, figuring I just diffuse this, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was feeding him fiery angries all day.
Yeah. So you were pretty, the pump was primed.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. This is what you guys don't know. You went up to the DJ and you requested a specific song.
Oh, I think
You remember the song? What was the song?
It's Sexy and I Know It.
Nope.
No?
Wasn't
Nope.
Wiggly Arms?
What did I put a request?
Something from the 80s.
You've lost that love and feeling?
That's the 60s, bro. I knew the bride. No, I knew the bride when she used to rock and roll.
What?
You don't remember that?
What did I request?
I knew the bride when she used to rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
So, and you could just tell they were not into that at all. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, if you're not from the Midwest and you don't know that song, you know, I'm like, you know what? They're not in your league. I was just like, we're done. I'm like, I already knew them. We're not going to Cold Spring.
Oh, so if it wasn't for that song, I would have gone to Cold Spring?
Probably not.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I was like, it was going to play out. But after that, I'm like, yeah, you know what?
That group was better than the second group.
The second group was not as fun.
No.
They weren't into it. They
were not into it at all.
They were just there to. Why do you even have a bachelorette party if you're not going to want to?
It was weird. The vibe on that was really weird. So I was like, But yeah, you were
that
like,
first.
Dude, ride or die, man. We gotta go to Cold Spring.
You gotta take us, Ricky. Ricky, please, Ricky.
I know.
Please.
I was like, a grown man is just
banging.
Yeah, right.
Even without the ride, I should have gone because the next day of bowling, I didn't do anything. It would have been worth it to miss the bowling.
We could have picked.
He's like, I don't know. Up on the way home. Yeah. Right, because it was on the way home.
Take my dummy score. We're at state.
Yeah.
He was on a mission. But it goes back to the other deal too, where you were talking about how, you know, Bandy was talking about how Roddy has a hard time closing the deal. Like he can bring the puck up the ice, so you just can't put it in the net.
You know what? That's admirable. I think
he's getting.
You gotta respect that, right?
Right. You know. Well, but here's the deal. I was like, you know what?
Great.
You know, and I was like, I'm watching this, and I'm like, this is not going anywhere. I'm like, there's just, you know,
it could have been. I could have. That could have been the night. You know what?
I was like, dude, these chicks just they're not in the caliber of my boys. So
you were watching my back.
Oh yeah, I was like, no, that one group, that first group, I was like, dang, if he gets. I'm like, he's going to outkick his punt coverage. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, there was three. Okay. Oh, there was three, wasn't there? Yeah. The first group was really
yeah.
And they were fun. Obviously, they're the one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they were the fun ones.
They were the fun ones.
Those
so that's what even makes it, that's what even makes it even better. But when you requested that song and they were not into it, I'm like,
yeah.
Nope. Man, they're not up to my boy specs. They're just not.
Well,
if you can't go with you can't flow with it. You're not gonna fit in with these guys, right?
Yeah, because I like I said, I had so many fiery, like what were they called? Fiery angries, right?
Yeah,
with the fireball.
Angry Orchard with the fireball on.
Yeah, so I had a bunch of those in me. So
I know, I remember, I was there.
Yeah,
I was
feeding him all day.
So I'm just saying, I appreciate it because my judgment wasn't there, and your judgment was there.
What judgment?
I know.
The judge was gone.
So you were
the governor was.
You were
wide open.
You were watching my back. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I need you around all the time.
I was hoping, but I'm like,
wasn't.
No, not this time.
Yeah.
I thought there was two other girls at the end of the night I thought we were gonna have good luck with, but that didn't happen.
That didn't pan out either.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like that first group was my favorite group out of all three of them.
Oh, absolutely.
They were the funnest. They were there to like actually have fun, dance, and like it was a good, really good time.
I remember a buddy of mine getting married, and we were downtown Minneapolis someplace, and there was a bachelorette party coming there too. And next thing you know, we'd bought this guy a shirt from Schindler's where it was like a checklist, like 20 different things, you know. And this girl goes, "You got a Sharpie?" And I actually had it. I want, yeah. So she looks on the shirt, she's like, "I'll do that." And she checks it, and then she does something and she signs the back of the shirt. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So like that, it was like talk dirty to me. So this one girl just goes up and grabs him by the melon, and she starts talking in his ear, and you see the look on his face like, oh my God, and that was like, oh, this must be pretty good. And, but yeah, it was that, and that group that was probably the best bachelorette party. I mean, They were a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, we partied with them for a couple hours. It was good. You remember?
I got one. We were at State, or I don't know if you guys were. I think it was at State. We were up in Duluth, and we were at the bar. And this bachelorette party came in, and this girl needed to find a They were doing a scavenger hunt, I remember. And this girl needed to find a condom. That was part of their scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
And she goes, "How am I?" She comes up to me and asks if I had one. I was like, "I don't have one."
Yeah.
And she goes, "How am I gonna?" She goes, "You need to help me." I go, "What do you want?" I go, "What do you?" So then she goes, "We got to find a condom. Somebody's got to have a condom." So I'm pretty lit and I'm loud. So I stood up on the bar stool and I just yelled. I go, "Any guy in here have a condom?"
I remember that. I was there.
And some guy
Andy doing this too.
Some
This
guy
is so
goes, I got one, raises his hand, and he's on a date.
Oh,
And I was like,
taking one for
Yeah.
the team, bro.
Yeah.
Man.
and the look on the girl's face was like, "Do you really think
Thought
you're
you were
going to
gonna
get
get
lucky tonight?" Like,
Wow. So he just ruined his. Well, maybe he already knew. And so he's like, you know what?
Right? He's
I might as well help
cut my
this.
loss.
And
Okay.
somebody gets some use out of this
That's
thing.
a
maybe.
team player right
Yeah.
there. Like, hey, you know what? If
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not going anywhere with this, let's someone else.
Yeah.
Got me a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And the girl was like, "Thank you so much." She goes, "You should just fall around
Some
me."
of those are the most fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah. I had to mention that one.
I remember that story though. That was fun. I didn't know the details. I think again I had some drinks in me.
That was that bar with all the games. They had all the...
Oh.
Oh
Yeah,
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 the one
yeah.
downtown Duluth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was fun. I remember that. I didn't remember it. I don't remember it being at that place, but maybe it was. Yeah, it was. It was at the bar part of it. Yeah,
Yep.
not the
Mhm.
game part. Yep.
Yeah, it was kind of separated or whatever.
Yeah. I remember that now.
That was the year you were with, right?
Mhm.
That was the year that Derek had the gay guy
Oh.
latch onto his arm.
Oh.
Follow
I don't
I
remember
forgot
that.
all about
Derek,
that.
Derek had a gay guy that latched onto his arm and just
Started walking with him.
walked him around.
Yep.
He went bar hopping with us. He
Oh.
followed Derek. He bought him drinks all damn night.
Oh.
Wow.
And then that's it.
Right?
Was I there for that part?
I'm pretty sure it was the one on
Were you with us that year?
I was there that year.
Oh, yeah, you were there.
Yeah, because
Where
that
were
was
you?
that was like right before I moved up to the Cloquet area.
Oh, that's right.
He followed us around the whole night. He went to grandma's with us and all that.
Yeah. Yep. I do remember going
and
to
then it got to
grandma's.
the end of the
Yep.
we got to like the second or third bar, and I was like, "Derek."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah." I go, "He's gay." He goes, "No." He goes, "What makes you think that?" I go, "His hand's been on your lower back for half the night. Like,
Checking for the tramp
like,
stamp.
how much more do you want him to grab you?" Like,
Right.
he's like,
How
I don't
low
know.
will you go?
Just thought he was friendly.
"Yeah." He goes, "I don't know. I just thought he was a nice guy. He's been buying me drinks all
Yeah.
night." I go, "Why do you think he's buying you drinks,
Hello.
bud?" Then it got to the end of the night, and Derek was just like, "Well,
Oh,
see you later."
So funny.
Oh man.
Well, and he's a younger guy too, so
Yeah.
the naivety a little bit in that deal.
Yeah, he didn't have the.
I mean, he's a
Presence.
good-looking kid. Don't get me wrong, but it was fun.
Oh,
It was so funny
hilarious.
because you were like, we're all like, well, let's just see how this transpires. Because we were like, we could help him out, but you know what? We're gonna give him just enough rope to
Yeah.
see where this goes.
Yeah, let's have some fun with it.
Right. Yeah, and it was so he just didn't really he wasn't picking it up.
No, it was
Mhm.
hilarious.
Deer in the headlights there a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there's so many stories.
I know.
We could sit here for hours talking about some of this. Oh.
All right, I'll get into the next part so we can.
Oh, yeah,
we'll
we're
maybe
good.
get to
We're
back
good,
to
man.
some of these stories. But what skill, Ricky, do you possess that not a lot of people know about?
I play guitar. At least I played guitar.
I didn't know
I
that.
dabbled the guitar a little bit.
Nice.
I took 4 years of Russian in high school. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
Which is
that's
weird, but
really
you
cool.
got to realize, I'm older than
Yeah.
you guys, by not a lot, but I'm kind of a generation older than you guys. So, it was the tail end of the Cold War, and it was just seemed like, you know what, this might not be a bad thing to have, just in case. But I'm glad it never came to fruition,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
So you know quite a bit of Russian then.
I used
You used to, okay.
Yeah. It's the alphabet's different. It's it's kind of its own derivative. It's one of the three languages, that kind of is its own thing. 33 letters and just there's so many. It's like German and some of these other languages too, where you can say a word, but then you say it differently for, informal with your friends, and then formally, and then data where if it's something related to time, or if you're describing something, and then it change, you can be 6 different variations of the same word. So the grammar part of it was probably the hardest thing besides learning the alphabet.
Wow.
And it changed my handwriting, because the teacher would be like, "What happened to your cursive?" It's not, because back my day we had to actually do stuff in cursive.
They don't teach that anymore.
No, right?
They don't.
So even how I signed a check was different, because like the M, the L, and there was another letter that they had this defined hook on the front of it. So then my middle name, I changed how I wrote. My middle name is Michael. So yeah, so the M changed on how I signed it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like once you start learning another language, it just kind of gets into the other.
And what was cool too back in my day, but but we learned about the country and stuff too, and it was still back then. It was still the Soviet Union. It wasn't, so it was the 15 republics. At that point, they weren't individual countries, so to speak, but it's such a vast. I mean, it covers like 10 time zones, and there's 125 different subcultures, and it's just crazy how big that country is.
Wow, I guess I didn't realize it spanned that.
Yeah, it's
wide.
Big. It's big. Yeah, and Siberia, it's just so massive. And the different cultures, and you got the dialect even is crazy. How, and then everything else. Yeah, so it was cool. It was fun to take that language and learn about other parts of the world.
Yeah.
It opens you up a little bit too.
Yeah.
Wow. Do they have a lot of slang in Russian? Or no?
Oh yeah, same. Just like us, like you say, "Hey, dude," So
Right.
somebody learning English, I feel bad for them, because they're like, "Oof,"
Yeah.
'cause we have all the exceptions to the rules too, but they'd say like, "Hey, uncle," would be saying, "Hey, dude,"
Yeah.
So dad, yeah, was uncle, and you're like, and this guy kind of like, I was like, "Why you call me uncle?" He's like, "No, I just always say dude." Oh, okay.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think, like, obviously, I don't know exactly how long it was since you learned it, but do you think, like, if you had to, like, go back to learn it, do you think you'd, like, be able to get it back?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have to learn the alphabet or anything, but I would, have to kind of relearn a lot of the vocabulary. But I think it would come back pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny when you don't speak it, and then you get you start learning.
Just like in any language.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
But you'd want to learn it properly. You wouldn't want to rush in it.
Well, yeah. But then I'd have to finish.
Sorry, I had to sneak that joke in there.
I know.
I had to.
I know.
That's a cool skill, though.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
not one that I was expecting.
No, most people don't know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my next question is, do you think you'll ever want to open another bow shop?
Dude, people hammer me on this all the time. So we owned a bow shop for about 3 years. The thing about archery, and I love archery. The thing about archery, though, it's so fickle when it comes to these bow manufacturers. They're like, you can't be so close to this guy, and you can't be so close to that guy. So when we opened that shop, we were really like, okay, we're going to sell this brand and this brand because we'll be far enough away. And that's what I did. And it, boom, we set it up. Well, then I'm not going to mention who it was, but somebody was like, no, what if I order enough bows? Will you, can I do that? And the bow company's like, hey, yeah, you know what? Let's do that. And then they literally sawed us off at the kneecaps.
Oh.
So then they literally cut us off because they opened up a shop not too far away from us, and they sell everything. So it was like, ooh, and it just, our sales just plummeted.
Oh no.
The other thing too was the DIY people, they started seeing the stuff on the internet like, oh, I'm just going to do it at home, and you're like, oh, cool, and which is fine. And I don't, discourage people from doing that, but that kind of killed us too.
Yeah.
Or people would buy stuff online because you can obviously get it cheaper. And a lot of people are on a budget. I get that, but then, and then they're like, well, why isn't your shop not open anymore? Like, well, you wouldn't buy it from me, so how am I supposed to keep the doors open? It doesn't stay open magically. We got to have an income coming in. So, yeah, and I just ran into a lady today too. Like, oh, my kids, they really love coming. I'm like, I know, and I love having them there. The middle school, or one of the middle schools, was just literally up the road. Kids would come down, and they would leave their bows there, and they'd come after school, and they'd shoot their bows. because they'd shoot league, they'd shoot
Yeah.
league. And they had a little lounge area, and they could do their homework and wait for their mom and dad to come pick them up. People were like, "Man, you're crazy." I'm like, "No, it was great. The
kids, right?
The kids were so responsible and so good, and they all looked out for each other. And it's like trap shooting and stuff too is becoming really popular. And I think it's good that you teach these kids some responsibility. You put them in an environment like that, and it teaches them respect and response. People just think it's would be the other way around. And I'm like, no, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons to be learned.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Not to say we didn't have to get in a couple of them, because we did.
Yeah, I mean,
there was some tough love. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it wasn't picture perfect all the time.
Yeah, you still got to be kind of a supervisor over there, but
kids will be kids.
Oh yeah. Or they're so excited that they kind of forget it's just me. Oh yeah, no, whoa, this is a group thing. No, we get when you shoot at a public range, you gotta make sure everybody's back.
Yep.
And then we had an old master chief in the Navy that he'd hang out at the shop too. We called him Old Pete, And old man Pete, you probably met him. Yeah, you met him. Yeah, great guy. I love Pete. But I remember one day he started barking back there. We will all walk down and grab arrows, and we all will make sure everybody's got all their arrows before we walk back. And this one lady walks around the corner. She's like, "Is he always like that?" And I'm like, "Nope." So I said, "If he's like that, somebody did something that wasn't good,
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, he doesn't work here." I'm like, "Well, you know what? It doesn't really matter. If he's saying that, I trust him." Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep.
I don't even want to know what happened.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. So,
like you said, if he was like that, it's something. Pete's one of the nicest guys you ever meet.
Real easy going. Yeah. So, but would it be fun to open one? Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it was like the Mickey Mouse Club down there. People would come in, and it was funny too because it got to the point where the phone would ring and I'd be like, "Is there anybody that's not supposed to be here?" Because somebody's wife would call, "So and so there, I haven't seen him all day," and I'm like, "I haven't seen him," and he's sitting right at the bench,
That's awesome.
Right. So, and it would be fun too because
hey Norm, it's your wife.
Right. Exactly. Who?
Yeah. They'd slip you a 20.
Oh, it's funny too because some of them guys would come in and we close at 8:00 on the weeknights, and right at 7:55 they come walking in with a case of beer, and I'm like, "Ooh, yep, we're closing down."
Yeah.
Hunting stories are coming out. Yeah. No, and that was fun. I do miss that. Heck, we'd even get some of the law enforcement, some of the Wright County Sheriff's deputies, because we'd be grilling.
Oh, okay.
Outside, and then that the venison that and the wind would blow it across, and they're sitting at the light. All of a sudden, they just come around the corner. "Hey, we got to do a building check." What's on the grill, boys?
Yeah, we got
a chunk.
Yeah, we got to check that out.
Yep. Too. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that story.
So firearms are one thing. Winchester or some of these other companies, they don't care if you're 5 minutes from the next guy. But archery, it's kind of weird. It's kind of cliquey. Yeah, it's
weird and dumb.
It is, and because we were always, because we tried getting a couple of other brands too, and the guy would be like, "Well, why should we give you a dealership?" Because we're like, "We'll beat everybody on customer service." I said, "Nobody will beat us." And I said, "We'll make that person so happy they bought that bow."
It doesn't make any sense. Like, a shop is a shop. Why wouldn't you want your bow in every shop?
Right?
Yeah.
It's so backwards to what you think it would be. So yeah. So, to answer the question though, I mean, I would love to. I don't know if we will or not. I mean,
yeah,
maybe.
I mean, it's a big commitment.
It is, obviously.
Such a good time though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And you said my first bow is on the house?
Yeah.
If we open one up, maybe.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, I think you should. I've been trying to get him into bow archery.
I have a bow. I'm not great with it.
What kind of bow is it though?
It's not.
He doesn't even know what it is. That's the thing.
It's got camouflage on it.
Oh, that's cool.
It's about like my Nova.
Oh, okay, like a PSZ Nova.
Yeah. You know more about my bow than I do.
Dude, archery is, I don't know. Even you don't have to hunt, but just to do archery is just so much fun to fling arrows with people. Yeah, I have more fun going to the range too, and then just you start talking to people. And next thing you know, I'm like, man, I didn't even shoot my bow. I was out here for 3 hours.
Just sitting there talking,
right? Because people be like, I thought about trying to. I'm like, what? So
maybe I can just come out.
I remember going to the range many times. I'm like, I flung 12 arrows and I was there for.
Oh, well, Spoonie was like that too. And Spoon Man, he'd come in too, and next thing you know, he's like, oh man, I gotta get going. I'm been in too much trouble, because you just start talking about this, that, and the other thing. Well, next thing you know, oh, no, look at the time. Yeah. So,
and then you realize nobody has shot an arrow for an hour.
Right. Well, because everybody's talking. And that's the camaraderie, I think, is the nice thing, too. It's like golf. Like we got that golf league. I couldn't believe how funny that was. Just get to know people and like, hey, man, let's just have fun. Let's just do this,
Yeah.
And, that's how it should be,
Who cares about the score? We're out here having fun. Right, we're here together.
Right. We're outside doing something fun.
Yep.
It's a good time. Man.
That's one thing that I've learned on the disc golf course. I was playing a tournament and I wasn't doing well. And this guy came up to me. He's like, hey, it's Sunday. We're playing disc golf.
You're not working.
Yeah.
Right? It could be way worse.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day out.
Right.
He's like,
I told you that time and time again.
I know, but I get
you don't have to do this. You get
exactly.
To do this, right?
Yeah. So that helped me. That helped me a lot. And then another lesson that I've learned, and I've used it for other stuff too. But you got to treat every shot like its own universe.
Yep.
And so
new game.
Yep. It's a brand new game.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have the worst round of your life, but then have the best throw of your life.
One shot, one throw, one arrow. You're like, oh, yeah.
And then it changes the rest of your day, and you're like, oh. Wow.
Well, and the thing about archery is, some of these shows, they've gotten people so kind of wrapped up into this and that, and I'm like, people are like, well, why do you do it? And I'm like, because when I draw that bow back and I put the pin on the target, all I'm thinking about is I'm aiming for one specific spot, and then I let the shot go, and I just watch the arrow fly in there. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about the bills. I'm not thinking about It's so primitive, but yet it's so cool,
Yep.
And if your heart's pure and you're just caught up in that moment, the arrow's going to go right where it's supposed to. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science. Oh, like I need this, I need that.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a shooter in there that you were just like, wow?
Oh yeah, It was funny because Mark and these other guys they baited me really bad because this guy was a national champion. He'd won multiple tournaments, and I didn't know him at all. I didn't know who this guy was, And he's back there flinging arrows, and the guy goes, "Hey, you got to go back and help that guy. This guy sucks," I'm like, "All right, whatever." I go back there, and this guy's hammering X rings like it's. I'm like, "You don't need no damn." I didn't say nothing. I was like watching for 2 seconds. I'm like, "Nope." What'd you tell him? I'm like, I didn't say nothing to that guy. You don't need no help.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. But yeah, Fitzy, good guy. But a lot of fun.
Yeah. I've seen a few that were pretty.
Oh.
Wade was freaking awesome.
Wade Griniger he's great. My daughter was funny too, though, because she'd fling, 400 or 500 arrows at a crack. And a day, she'd be back there just ripping arrows, And she's pulling like 50 pounds in here. She's like 9, 10 years old. And you get these 13, 14-year-old guys, and they can't even pull back 30 pounds. And I'm like, you got to get out the couch, son. And so old man Petey would be like, these guys would come in like, hey, $5 says that little girl could outshoot you. And the guy's like, oh, whatever. And then she's doing it, and they're like, what? And then
what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Who is this kid? Oh, it's the boss's kid.
Does she still shoot?
No. Well, she just doesn't. She's so busy with school and everything else. But yeah.
Doesn't she know what her priorities are?
No, she knows exactly what her priorities are.
Oh, that's good.
Archery right now
just not top.
No, we went hunting. She shot a deer. She got a deer.
Nice.
Yeah, no, she can do it. She's done it. But right now it's just not a priority in her life. But maybe someday.
Yeah, maybe
come back.
Bring it back.
College is busy.
College. I couldn't.
That kid
first year.
Yeah.
You remember what that was like? First year of college.
I remember all 5 years.
12 years?
Would you go to St. Cloud?
I did
go to St. Cloud. Yeah, there you go. That's the rumor. It takes you 5 years to get a 4-year degree up there.
It took me. Well, technically, I also went to.
There's a lot of people that take 8 years of college.
I know.
Yeah, they're called
Van Wilder.
Van Wilder. I went to North Hennepin for 1 semester, and I didn't take I think I took almost a full workload, but that slowed me down a little bit.
Right.
But I got back on track. I got the degree.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm proud of it.
It's easier to do it when you're younger.
Yeah.
So all those young people out there, just hammer it out, get it done, get your degree. As you get older, it's harder to go back to school.
I mean, I liked college to a degree.
Literally.
Yeah. Did I tell you guys that I went to clown college?
No.
I didn't? I was valedictorian.
Yeah?
Sorry. Class clown.
Tish, tish, tish.
Those are my college jokes.
Yep.
That's all I got. Oh, yeah, Ricky. What is your dream vacation?
Lahaina.
Lahaina.
That didn't take long, did it?
No, it didn't.
Maui, yeah. Island of Maui. Lahaina is a town on the west side of that island. It's kind of it was an old whaling village back in the day, but I don't know what it is about that town, but if someone said where are you going, that's where I'm going.
Say that again? Where?
Lahaina. Lahaina is the name of the town in Maui. Yep.
Okay,
Maui.
how many, have you been there before?
5 times.
5 times, wow.
Yep.
Okay. I have been to Hawaii 0 times, so I don't know.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
It's got to be on your bucket list.
Okay.
People say, like people go to, California, Florida, and you know what? There's a lot of great places. Don't get me wrong. It's not the same.
No.
It is not the same.
So what is it?
For me, I don't know. It's just something. It's just this inner peace or something. I don't know. It sounds really weird. It sounds stupid.
No, it doesn't sound stupid at all.
But yeah, it's just something about going there. It's just so calming for me. It's one of the 4 states that doesn't allow billboards on that.
Oh.
So it's the scenery is just incredible. The different things, you can see the flowers, the whales, depending on what time of year you go, because the whales will migrate down and they come down there in, I don't say the late October, November, but they usually birth right around the New Year. And
Okay.
so then, and then by March, then they're heading back to Alaska or whatever. So that's so I've been there enough. You kind of know it. That's cool. If you've ever been on that's the one thing you got to do down there too, is go on a whale cruise, like a evening cruise or whatever. It is so cool. They are so mammoth. You think, we're king of the jungle. Mm-mm.
No.
Not even close.
Yeah.
No, right. And they're so docile, but it's so cool. And they're all their tails too. They all have a different signature. Like we all have different fingerprints and that.
Mhm.
Same thing with their tail. You can identify a whale because their tails are marked differently and stuff.
Wow.
So it's kind of it's so cool to learn some of the stuff down
That's
there.
crazy.
Yeah.
And the blue, the water there too.
Just,
There's actually a national park in one of these craters, like one of the volcano craters out in the Molokini crater, but you can't touch the bottom. You're not supposed to. But the blue there I can't even describe it. It's so cool. It's just so vivid, and then the color of the fish and everything. I'm sure it's like that in other places too, but it's just so cool.
It's just, your favorite place.
Yeah. I've been to like this, I've been to a few places, but bar none.
Yeah.
that's cool.
How do you pronounce it again?
Lahaina.
Lahaina.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to
They got a
look into
Bubba Gump shrimp factory there.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
But it's kind of cool because its streets are so narrow in that when they built up that. In Hawaii too. I don't know if you've been, Vandy, you been to Hawaii?
I have not.
You've not? Okay.
Dad's been a few times.
Okay, your dad has, yeah. And it's interesting because like the restaurants too, there's no windows. It's all open. So like the birds
cool.
fly in and out,
Wow.
and then, yeah. And it's just, obviously they got stuff too, but you can get island food. Like there's a fish down there. It's called ono. It's like this white, oh my God, that's so good. It's about the closest you're going to get to walleye and it'd be a saltwater fish. But I go, this is like walleye. And they're looking at me like, what is a walleye? Yeah, exactly, right? But yeah, no, it's cool. I don't know. I would go there in a heartbeat if I could.
I feel like the oh no would pair really well with Kool-Aid.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Is that bad?
It's bad.
That's bad.
I don't even know where he was going with that, to tell you the truth.
I came up with that on the spot. I thought it was pretty clever right
It's
away.
not bad, but
Yeah.
The Kool-Aid man. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe that way. I mean, right?
I think I got Vandy pretty good on that one.
Yeah.
That was a good
That
one.
was pretty good.
I might have to write that one down.
There you go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I got to get myself together.
Oh,
That's pretty
no.
fun.
Oh, yeah.
So,
No, I would love to go on that vacation
Yep.
with you because then
I'd love to take you guys down there sometime. That'd be so much fun.
dude.
because then we can run into a bachelorette party and I'll see if you'll bring me to Cold Spring from there.
You never know because people get married down there all the time.
Oh,
They have
yeah.
destination weddings. Oh,
Well, I'm just saying, what if they need to go to Cold Spring? Would you bring me back?
that's a long drive.
Yeah.
First, got to find someone to build us a bridge to drive us that far. Yep.
That's cool,
I should just go to Cold Spring and see if anybody recognizes me.
though. It's been a few years.
Well, I
It's on
know.
a wanted
I've
poster
got
wall.
You
Oh,
definitely
maybe.
look a lot different, too.
I've got a longer beard, huh?
I don't think you
You
had
didn't have facial hair then.
Really?
No way you didn't.
Oh, man.
You had hair then.
I did, huh?
Yeah, you did. Come to think of it.
That was a long time ago.
Well, not that long ago.
Probably 6 years.
Yeah, I suppose. 5 years anyway. Yeah.
That's not bad. They'll still recognize me.
Oh, yeah.
All right, my next question is a two-parter.
Ooh.
So, what is the best hunt you've ever had? Like, most memorable? And what's a dream hunt you've always wanted to do, just haven't done it yet?
All right. So, obviously, most people would say it would be the first deer or whatever, first whatever. But
Yeah.
for me, it would have been the fall of 2006. So, mother-in-law got diagnosed with cancer. We lose her in September.
Wow.
And so that fall was kind of funny too, because my dad had gotten tickets to the Twins were playing and made the playoffs or whatever, and we were playing the Oakland A's, and we were still at the big inflatable toilet, and so my dad's like, I can't go. Here's 2 tickets. See if you can take your father-in-law. Because he was, obviously he was still in shell shock in a sense. So call him up, and no, not interested. Okay. So I was like, well, I don't know who else I'm going to get. And then he called me back like 10 minutes later. Yeah, let's do it. So he drove down, and at that time I was working in Bloomington. So what we did is we went over to the Mall of America, and we parked, and we took the tram.
Nice.
It said we didn't have to deal with parking, And we get in there and watch the game, and we ended up talking we're surrounded by, I don't know if they were from Cold Spring, but they were from central Minnesota, but they were farmers. So of course, Lloyd being a farmer too, but the funny part was on the way out, we were waiting to get back on the tram. Well, it was such pandemonium that we just get shoved into the car, and it was so full of people you could not fall down if you wanted to, and we got separated. So there's like 10 people between him and I, and I look over, of course he is surrounded by these college chicks, and so right away he's like, ladies, just letting you know, it's my hands are in my pockets. And the one goes, well, that's what's in your pocket? And it was just oh my God. And it was so funny. But yeah, and he's like, oh, you know what, I had fun. But that fall, so yeah, it was so weird. It was surreal, Bev wasn't there. We go up to kind of by Longville area, and we were hunting. And I was sitting there, and 10-point buck comes in with 3 fawns, which was kind of bizarre. I was like, what is going on? And it happens, And so I shoot this deer, and I wait 20 minutes or whatever, and it's laying right there. It didn't go far or whatever, but I get out of the stand, I go over and I pick it up, and I thought it was an 8-point while here at the 10. I was like, oh, sweet. And then all of a sudden I hear this, what are you doing? And I thought it was me and God, right? And this deer, and here my brother-in-law and father-in-law are standing there just laughing at me. Well, here they both had shot deer. We were done at 8:30, opening morning.
Oh, wow. We
had a 6, 8, and a 10 down. I was like, holy cow. So,
nice. It's a good hunt.
And so I the funny thing, well, not funny thing, but I took and I didn't do like a full mount, but I just did an antler mount of that little 10 point. And it's just a pencil 10. I mean, it's only like 105 inches, so it's not a trophy by any sense. But I had it on the wall in the archery shop, And this guy was like, man, what is that? And I'm like, dude, there's a story behind that,
Mm-hmm.
And every time I look at that, I know, and I'm not a religious guy, but I know she was like, them boys are going to fill out opening more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes, so that's kind of what I was trying to tell the guy. I'm like, just because the mount isn't to your standards, there's a story behind it, and and don't judge it until you know the whole story. So,
Yep.
So yeah, so that was probably the most memorable hunt. My dream hunt, I would like to get the Grand Slam of turkeys. I'd like to be able to shoot all 5 subspecies of turkeys. I've only shot Easterns, but I would love to get the other 4.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool, but maybe someday. Because turkey hunting, honestly, that's the most favorite thing. I love doing it because it's so communicative. You talk to the turkey, you call it. Yeah, you call them turkeys in, get them all jacked up and that.
It's like making a phone call.
Exactly right. Yeah. Are they there? Or are they not? Right.
Yeah.
Plus, it's something about shooting something in the face in the springtime.
Bow or shotgun?
I've done both.
What do you like more?
Bow.
Bow,
Yeah, it's more challenging. I love. Don't get me wrong. I love running and gunning with a shotgun and stuff too, and I've done that plenty. But I don't know, man. I love hunting with a bow. It's just something about kind of kicking it old school or getting primitive with it, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the last one I shot, I wasn't even supposed to shoot, to be honest with you, because a customer had called me like, dude, I got this guy. Will you call a bird in for him? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And we worked this bird for, I don't know, it had to be 90 minutes, something like that, gone by. And I didn't think that he was going to come in. And I finally cut on this bird, one more time. All of a sudden, he turned around, he come in. I'm like, ooh. So I told the guy, get ready. And I had the rangefinder, that bird stops 28 yards from its broadside. It's just standing. I'm like, dude, 28. Just aim a little low with the 30 pin and let him have it, And pow, he lets that arrow go, and it goes right behind the bird. I mean, it ruffles the feathers, the whole bit, and that bird was like, what just went by me? He's trying to figure out. And he takes like 10 steps, he runs, and he's like 38 yards. I'm like, grab another arrow. He's 38. And he's like, I can't shoot him. I'm like, what do you mean you can't shoot him? I don't have a 40-yard pin. Who goes in the woods with only 2 pins, And he was like, well, I just got this bow. And I'm like, okay, well.
So what are we doing?
Yeah, I know. What are we doing? Well, I'm thinking that. I'm not trying to say that to the guy. Yeah. So then he's like, dude, we can't let this bird get away. You got to shoot him. I'm like, I don't want to shoot. This is your bird,
Yeah.
No, he's not getting away. Get this bird. I'm like, all right. So I handed him the rangefinder, and then so I kind of do a little situating. And I had to grab my bow. And I mean, I wasn't even ready, right? And so I'm like, where's he at? 38, right? So, and I screwed up on this bird. So 40 pins high, and I'm dropping the pin down, and the arrow the bow went off. I pulled the trigger. Luckily for me, the pin was going straight down his neck towards his body. So I hit him right in the neck with his arrow. Oh. And it was like I ninja'd this thing, and this guy's like, oh my God, that's how you do it. That's how you kill him right there. I'm just
like, you're like, I missed.
Yeah, right. Well, it sounded like Mickey Mouse. And I hit this bird, like, meh. He just kind of made the sound, and he just went down, and he was just done. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
I got lucky. And this guy's like high-fiving and jumping on down like we just won the World Series. Yeah. And I'm like, dude,
You're like, I got
But it was cool. I was so glad that we got that bird. So the guy, he got so hooked on hunting. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So that was fun. He's like, dude, oh my, because he had rifle hunted deer, but he had never done anything with bow. He's like, dude, that is so different. I'm like, yeah, it's
night and day.
Night and day. Yeah.
The feeling is night and day. A gun kill compared to a bow kill is night and day.
I hate, you don't want to disrespect the deer or whatever, but it's like you're shooting wild cattle. Sometimes you're like, dude, that was kind of easy, Not that it's easy, but I still I always, any deer or any animal I get, you always want to respect it, Like we just had chili this week with some venison too, and every time I eat it, you're just like, you just think about the hunt, and you think about the deer, and it's a gift, So it's kind of cool. It's something about eating stuff that you get, whether it's a fish fry where you caught the fish, and it's something rewarding about that too, and stuff. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, sweet. I think that's it for the questions to get to know you. I feel like we know you pretty well now, just based on the questions that we've asked. Mm-hmm. Do you have any questions for us? Do you want to get to know us a little bit before we get into the topic hour?
Yeah, I got a couple for you. So first question I would have for you guys is, if you had to host Saturday Night Live and do a skit, what skit would you do? And I'll even throw a bonus in there. If you had an actor or a comedian that maybe you'd want to work with or something, and then who would your musical guest be?
Man, that's a good question. I need to figure this out because I'm actually hosting in about a month.
Yeah, screw you, Bradley.
Right.
No, do you want to go first or do you want me to?
Do you have an answer?
I have a little bit, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
if you steal mine, though,
yeah,
I'm going to be pissed.
I'm not going to steal. I don't think I'll steal yours.
I don't think you will either.
Man, what skits would I do, and who would be my musical guest? Some of the skits that I would want, I'm leaning towards like Will Ferrell and Chris Farley. Those are the two that are coming to mind. I don't think I could do the Chris Farley. Obviously, I don't have his style comedy.
You don't have his physique either.
I don't have his physique. Mm-hmm. That's exactly. I'm not a physical.
Yeah, we can work on that.
Yeah, I'm not a
ditch the veggies, bro. Let's go.
The veggies are gone.
Yeah. Man, I like a lot of these. There's a couple that I have in mind. One is Cowbell.
Yeah, you stole mine.
Oh shoot! I'm sorry.
Dude,
I'm not
is
gonna
a
steal you.
classic.
I didn't know that.
That is a classic. Oh, jeez.
Another one I want to do is Van Down by the River.
Van Down by the River's good.
Oh,
Yep.
I forgot about that one.
Yep.
You mentioned it,
I
yeah.
live in a van.
Yep.
Down by the river.
Yep.
Oh man, there's so many others. I'm gonna stick with those two for now. If I come up with another one while you're doing yours,
What about them? What about the musical guests, though?
The musical guest. For my musical guest, it's not a very big band yet, but the Moonlight Community.
I kind of
I'm gonna do that.
that one,
If I can't use a band like that, I think I'm gonna go Billie Eilish. She'd be a good one on there.
Oh, nice.
Wow, I did not see that one.
I did not
Yeah.
either.
I think she'd be a good musical
Not
guest.
judging you, but yeah, that's kind of cool.
I want a cowbell.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No,
steal your
you're good.
cowbell.
You're good.
I didn't think I was
knew
going to
you
steal
were.
it.
I knew you were, but that's fine. But I'm stealing yours too. Because we talked about this before the episode. I definitely would do the Patrick Swayze, Chris Farley.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah,
strippers
the dirty
scene.
dancing.
Yeah.
Oh my
Dancing.
gosh, that was so funny.
I would do that one, but I really want to do cowbell.
Well,
But I
cowbell.
don't-
The only reason I did that was because that's
So-
like the number one Will
All right.
Ferrell one.
So,
that I
so
thought.
if you did cowbell, who would you want to play? Would you want to do the Will Ferrell part?
I think I would want to do the Will Ferrell part.
See, I don't want to do the Will Ferrell.
I want to do that part.
I
What
want
part
to do
you wanna
the Christopher Walken's.
Oh yeah.
I need more cowbell.
Yeah. No, I want to do the cowbell. I think I'd be good at the cowbell part.
Have you seen the Will Ferrell? When Will Ferrell and the drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers were on Jimmy
Yes.
Fallon, and then he breaks out that cowbell, and then Chad Smith's like, "Come on,
Hey, yep.
really the cowbell?"
He wins at that point.
But my musical guest, going with Huey Lewis.
Oh,
Ooh.
love it! I love that pick.
I went
a
with
good
Huey
pick.
because he's got some acting
Yep.
Yeah.
credits underneath him, and he's actually pretty funny.
And the guy, yeah, and the guy can sing. I mean, his voice is unique, But yeah, he's pretty funny. He was in that. He was in that movie with Gwyneth Paltrow where they're doing the karaoke
Duets.
stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
yep,
Yep.
yeah. He
Mhm.
actually did a pretty good job.
It's a great. Have you ever seen it?
I have not known.
It's
Got the attitude list.
yeah. I'll tell you how it starts out because it's really good. It's Huey Lewis. He's kind of a
Kind of a ringer almost.
yeah, and he's a hustler.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he goes to this open mic for
Karaoke, yeah.
karaoke, and he sees their best singer there. And he's like, "So what is this? You just sing other people's songs, huh? Seems pretty easy."
Oh yeah, and he lays this down.
and he's just kind of
kills it.
ripping on karaoke and all this.
Yeah.
And the guy that's like the big guy in the
Mhm.
karaoke, he's like, "It's not that easy, sir. It's not that easy. You can't just come off the street and do what we do in here. It's not that easy." He's like, "I think I could do it, and I think I could do it better than you."
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No way." He's like, "What do you want to put a little wager on it?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." All of a sudden, I got $1,000. You want to do just something?
Yep.
The guy was like,
Ooh.
yeah, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then it's Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
he goes up there and
Just
just
slams out this.
slams it and
Yep.
just kills it. And the guy's just like,
Ooh, no.
I made a mistake.
Yep.
Right.
Oh man, that'd be a good scene.
Oh, dude, it was good.
Good,
What surprised
good
me
pick.
was it's a really good show because some of the guys that can sing in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Some of the actors, and that's one of those movies too, where it's funny where these Hollywood actors, they think they're a one-trick pony, but a lot of them can sing. A lot of them can they play instruments.
Yeah.
They can do.
You got to forget a lot of these
They
actors,
had to cut their chops
Yeah.
doing other things besides,
these guys come from a musical background.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp came to L.A. not wanting to be an actor.
Right,
He came to L.A. with his band.
Oh wow.
right. Chris Pratt, you ever hear that story about he was a waiter in a restaurant? Oh my gosh,
I didn't hear that story.
Oh, that is so funny.
When he ate the steak.
Eats the steak, right? Because if people, wouldn't finish their meal, he's going back there. He's just horking down people's steaks and
He
stuff.
goes, I was so broke, I didn't have
Yeah,
any, I didn't
right?
have
So
money
he
for
was-
food.
he'd
He goes,
be
I
like,
just eat leftovers.
Right?
Wow.
He'd be like, I score. I got this steak or whatever. And then
Yeah.
so this little old lady ordered a steak and she only eats quarter of it, whatever it
Yeah.
was. And he takes it back there and he just horks this thing down. And she goes, actually, I want to take that steak home for the dog. So he goes back there. He's like, dude, you got to cook me another steak.
I need a steak on the fly. I need a steak on the fly.
And then he probably cut up that quarter.
Or whatever.
Yep.
So then he has a full steak.
Well,
right.
Before the steak was done, he ends up getting fired, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Because he goes, by the time the steak was done, and he goes, she was ready to go. So I ended up getting 2 steaks.
Nice. So he didn't care that he got fired.
Yeah. So then he goes, my boss found out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then he just worked at the restaurant down the road.
I like that. That whole interview is good because his headshot story is pretty good too.
I think he was on Graham Norton. Yeah, I love Graham Norton. I loved him.
That's a great show.
He is. Yeah, he does a lot of. He interviews a lot of people. I love British television. For some of that stuff is pretty good. They have a different perspective on things. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
second question. Okay, so if you had to marry a comedian, who would you marry?
That's tough.
Do you want me to go?
You can go first.
I'm going with
Nikki Glaser.
Nikki Glaser.
Yeah,
that's a good answer.
Nikki, she's got great legs.
She's kind of a dirty girl.
Yeah. She's a little kinky.
Yeah.
No, she's a lot of kinky.
She's naughty. But she's gorgeous.
So
she's
funny. Oh my gosh. She did that bit too where she had her parents on the lie detector. You seen that? Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Because she's asked her mom somebody's question. I'm like, I wouldn't even ask my parents that. You couldn't pay me enough.
I think I did hear
that. She's so open with her parents.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And her parents are so cool about it. You know what I mean? So it was cool. But yeah, it was so funny. There's
an episode on Two Bears, One Cave. It's Bert.
Yes.
Bert's and Tom Segura's podcast. And he calls her up. And Bert wanted to do this podcast of your first cum stories.
Oh.
In your first orgasm story.
Yeah.
And so he calls up Nikki and he's like, you want to be my co-star or whatever? Is he co-host and all this? And her dad ends up getting on the phone.
Oh, man.
And he didn't hear any of this. And they start talking to Nikki's dad for a while. And just before they're about to go, and you can hear Nikki in the background. Dad, tell Bert that you're excited about our new podcast that we're going to do. Just tell him you're going to be excited. You can't wait to listen.
Oh, man.
Just baited him right into this. Oh, man.
That is hilarious.
Her dad is actually a musician.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
Her dad's a musician. The whole reason they got him on the phone in that podcast is because he has a voice like a radio voice.
He does.
It's a beautiful, like when you hear him talk, all of a sudden you're like,
mm-hmm. You think he'd be on radio. Yeah.
Something
mm-hmm.
like
he's got a great DJ voice.
Because that was the whole thing. Bert was like, you got to hear his dad. Is your dad there? Get him on. As soon as he talks, Tom's just like,
boom. Yeah, because he's got that commanding voice.
Do? Yeah. And find out he's a musician.
Isn't that funny how you get people like on the radio, you hear people on the radio like, man, what does that person look like?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
doesn't look anything like
KQ. Mae Young was on KQ, and she like did the overnight, and she had the sexiest voice. You're like, oh my God. So State Fair, we got to go see. Because she was they had her, they would change the routine up so people could see him, right? Or meet him. No. No. Great. I mean, she was really nice. Don't get me wrong. Great gal. But
voice doesn't match.
Yeah. The voice did not. You're like, that was not what I was expecting.
Yeah. No, I've gotten that with my voice and my face. People will look at me and they're like, I wasn't expecting that. I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
I'm gonna just let that one go.
I know.
He served it up. I just you want to spike it, but you're
I wanted to see something.
I had so many already going through, man.
I know.
Train wreck.
This is gonna be a train wreck.
I'm gonna be nice.
Okay, so your question was my first cum story.
Yeah.
No, that's not the question. No. The question was marrying a comedian. Who would I marry?
We already know where this is going to go.
Oh, man. Well, I talk about him a lot.
We knew it. He knew it.
He knew he was going to go gay.
Yeah. I got to go.
His boy.
I got to go Brian Regan, if I'm going to be honest with you guys.
I can't believe you went gay.
I went both. I have two answers.
Yeah,
I have two answers.
What are you
So
in,
Brian
what are you in
Regan,
Utah or what?
if Brian Regan isn't available to get married, I'm gonna go Taylor Tomlinson.
She's
She's
beautiful.
great. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, she's one of my favorites.
She just doesn't get the notoriety.
I didn't know
she's-
much about her. I actually learned about her on Pete Holmes' podcast. I was listening to You
Like-
Made It Weird, and that's how I got it.
You asked me if I knew who she was. And I was like,
Yep.
obviously.
Yep.
You
Yep.
forgot
Yeah,
that she
even-
was Bert's
yeah,
opener
right.
forever.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not totally up on comedians, but I know who she is. She
Yeah.
does a podcast with some other women too, or some other comedians have.
I can't remember
Yeah,
the name
she's-
of it, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's how I knew who she was, and then that's who I then learned through that podcast that she had opened for Bert.
Yeah.
or whatever.
She's
So I'm like,
a
well,
beautiful
she's
girl.
yeah.
Yeah.
she's tall.
But I think she's definitely wife type too, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And she's open
No,
for
I don't, to be honest, I don't think Nikki Glazer's wife type.
No.
Yeah. She's
Why?
open for my husband too. What? I thought that.
No, we're cool.
Okay.
It's all good. I ain't judging.
No judgment. I
No.
agree with that.
Nope. Good picks.
But I think we're. Did you have any other questions? I know we.
Well, no.
No?
We're good with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, I
we're
think
good with
that's.
them.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
good
pretty
for
good.
for that little segment. I
Mhm.
guess.
Right?
So now it's time to get into the topic hour. So I know we're about. I feel like we're over halfway,
Are we?
but
A little bit.
We're all right.
We're still
good.
good.
We're
Perfect. Okay.
We don't have a time restraint. Like we can go
This
as
is
long
our
as we
show.
want.
We do what we want.
Yep. So we're just getting into the topic hour. It can be an hour. It can be a half hour. It can be 2 hours. I don't care. So it just depends on how much we want to talk.
Sure.
Again, this is going to be about permit to carry.
Okay.
And we're going to learn about gun safety and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
I'll start it off. Why do you think it's important to know about gun safety?
The biggest thing is most people understand the dangers. It's just, I think the one thing that always sticks in my mind is people get complacent, though. It's the people that have handled them all the time. And then they just like, well, yeah, it's unloaded. Oh, yeah. Or I'm this and that, the other thing. And the next thing you know, oh, guess what? And that's how the accidents happen.
Yeah.
Yep. So you really, and by law, when we do a carry class, you actually have to cover safety, even if, people have been, handling guns for years and stuff too. It's good because you see people doing things, you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
we got to work on some things, So, and then obviously working with the DNR, you work with the kids. The hard part about that is you only get those kids for a certain amount of time, and you almost teach them enough just to be dangerous, because now they know how to work a firearm.
Right.
And you're kind of relying on the parents to go, all right, we got them started. You need to continue.
Yeah. So not only are you teaching these kids, you're teaching the parents.
Right. Yep. And I mean, we've had, so we, would have a classroom session where kids can do the classroom portion online, or they can do a classroom session. But then we have what we call a field day, where they go out and then they actually shoot a 22. But then we do like a field carry, and we do different scenarios. And I always tell them, I go, if you're going to make the mistake, do it here. Because they said, we're just dealing with hockey sticks and other things,
Right.
So if you flash me with a muzzle, it's not the end of the world. Make the mistake here, and then we're going to work,
Mm-hmm.
And I had this one kid one time too, and there was a bunch of people standing, and he was carrying, it was a real firearm, and it was unloaded,
Yep.
And anywhere he pointed the muzzle of that firearm, it was always pointed at someone.
Oh, wow.
And he started freaking out, and then I just walked over and I just, pushed the barrel straight up in the air, and I said, "This is the only safe direction you got right now." But then it was good and he right away he's like, "I'm going to fail." I'm like, "No, you're not, because what you just did is you're going to save a ton of people's lives, because when you get a whole bunch of people like that, it's just not safe when you got a firearm. So you need to space people out." So everybody saw that. So you take something that bad like that, and you go, this as a teaching tool. You're like, everybody saw this, right? This is why we don't do this, right? If
Yeah.
you're at deer camp, you unload before you get back to camp. You don't stand around with a bunch of people and you start passing firearms around. It's just not a good thing.
Yeah.
So that, we always really stress that. I mean, safety is always, and then same thing on the firing line too. When we do the carry, the firing or the shooting portion of the carry class, you just keep hammering on the safety. Big thing too is just, finger out the trigger till you're ready to shoot. It's index, because guns are so ergonomically correct now. Everybody wants to put your finger right on the trigger.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest
Trigger
no-no.
control.
because guns come with safeties where you can have a mechanical safety where if you pull the trigger, it wouldn't go off. They can break, and stuff. So you never want to rely on that. Safety's between your ears and finger off the trigger to your ratio.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're 10 or 100. We always stress that.
What if you're 1000?
Well, that'd be. I guess I haven't come across someone like that. Well, guess when we get to that point, we'll deal with it.
All right. How long is a permit good for in the state of Minnesota?
5 years. So the process, you take a class, and then you have to file with the county that you live in. So you're not Sherburne County. So you took a class and you'd have to go to Sherburne County Courthouse or whatever and file the paperwork. The county has 30 days to either approve or disallow your permit. And after the 30 days, they have to issue it to you as law. So, and then once you get it, then it's good for 5 years. So, wow. And then when the 5 years comes up, you basically got kind of a month on either side of it to get it renewed and that. So when you take a class, the class is good for a year. So I try to find a class 6 months before, at least get that thing done, and then you can file the paperwork when it's convenient for you, in my opinion. But typically most classes can vary on cost, anywhere from $50 to $150. But most counties, the most they can charge you is $100. I know veterans, they give them a deal or whatever, but I know Wright County here is $100.
Is there like a difference between, like, say if I were to go get a $50 one compared to, say, Vandy went and got a $150 one? Is there much of a difference, or is it just because, like...
Well, honestly, I think it's more the instructor than it is...
The price?
Yeah, right. Okay. And what you get, some places you go, the guy will just read the laws, you go out and he just makes you shoot 10 rounds, and you're good to go. And did you really learn anything?
Yeah.
Right. The one thing we, at Armed with Options, Wendy, we really pride ourselves in, if someone takes our class, we're going to make sure they feel like they got their money's worth. We're going to obviously cover the safety, but then the one thing, the bad thing about carry these days is all these Navy SEALs and Green Berets and all these guys, they come up with these videos on YouTube like, this is how you clear a house and blah, 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 this and that and all this tactical. And I'm like, yeah, well, you know what? Most people aren't capable of doing that, right? So,
they're not all mean.
No, they're not Vandy, But so obviously we teach a safety, but then we cover the law too. But then we it's more practical. And the big thing that we cover though is what's the best way to survive a firefight? Not get in it, right? Yeah, so we are pro. Let's just avoid the conflict in the first place.
Yeah.
So we talk about strategies like that. What to look for. What are we trying to avoid? We really try to cater, not necessarily cater to one gender or the other, but when it comes to women too, what you should be looking out for. Where do you park your car after dark? If you're going to Walmart or Target or wherever, do you want to park by the light? Do you want to park? Are you parking your car in a dark area where you could get, right? So you talk about stuff like that too. So I guess we really try to pride ourselves on the avoidance part, because there's a lot of cowboys out there. They're like, well, this is how you do it, and it's like, let's not get into that, if we can help it. Right. So and that's why it's called Armed with Options too, because we try to help people too that might not be able to carry, because there's certain people, they work at a college or they work at a gun-free zone. What other options do I have to protect myself? Besides carrying a firearm too. So we do refuse to be a victim.
Samurai sword.
Yeah, I'll hide that in my purse. Hang on, bad guy. Let me pull this out quick.
I'm going to have my signed samurai sword. You see that? That's a pretty recognizable signature.
Right.
Randy Jackson from American Idol.
Why'd you have him sign a sword?
Oh, Kill Bill, or the Kill Bill guy. That's Alejandro. He made that. What? Right.
Nice.
Well, dang. Okay, so when did you get your first gun?
My dad's dad gave me a lever action 30-30. So it was a Winchester model. It was cowboy gun. So the model 94 Winchester. He He bought that from a relative of ours in 1940, was it 40 or 41? And it was made in like 36, but he shot.
Jacks off to the side.
Yeah, no, comes out the top.
It does. It goes
the
over?
the Marlins, the 336 Marlins go out the side, but this would come out the top. Yeah, but so it was a pre-64 though, so there was some deal with that one too, where you actually had to squeeze the lever. To actually, even though you cocked it, you had to actually squeeze the lever up for the first round, and then it would cock that little pin. So it's a little, but it was. So I shot my first deer with that. Yeah, but actually, I finally passed it off to my nephew now. So my brother's son has that.
30 was your first gun?
Mm-hmm.
Not a 22. I was going to say it was probably going to be a 22 or something.
No.
Wow. And when was this?
When did I pass it off?
So, no. When did you first get into have your gun?
So because I was
3 years old.
No. So I got that before I turned 12.
Okay.
So I could, because we could hunt when you were 12.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. So that was pretty cool. My dad. So he never passed it to my dad. 'Cause my dad is one of 9 kids, but he's the oldest boy, and I would have thought he would have passed it to him before I got it, but it didn't. It jumped a generation.
Oh wow!
So, yeah.
Nice.
So it's 4. Well, actually, 4 generations that have
we have
been in possession of that. Yeah.
And that's the only.
Wow.
I'm a lefty.
So you can shoot it, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the shells fly across your face.
Well, the one that ejects over the top,
Yeah.
I can shoot. The side action kicks into your
Yeah. I'd
face.
say the Marlin.
So the one that
would
shoots
be,
up, it can still hit me, but it's less likely. The one that the side shoot, the Marlins, kicks right in the face.
It's a funny story about that. I remember shooting that one time, and then I put it on my hip, and then I cocked the lever back, and that shell came out and popped me right in the forehead. So don't do that.
Yeah.
We watched a video Wednesday night bowling. Guy, how to become a pirate. He had his rifle and he didn't tuck it into his shoulder.
Oh no!
Bam! And the scope caught him right.
Though, yeah.
And it was one of the hardest hits I think I've ever seen.
Wow, that doesn't sound fun.
No.
He came up and it was, immediate black eye.
You know what's weird too, because a lot of those scopes too, they give you enough eye relief where it should be far enough away. So even if the rifle like went back a ways, you should have some room. But just depends on the person, I guess, too. Yeah, it's always a no.
All right. Is a Minnesota permit, is it good everywhere?
No.
No.
I think, it changes every month, but I think right now it's around 28 states it's good for. I know you can carry in North Dakota, South Dakota,
Surrounding
Wisconsin.
states.
Yeah. But not like North Dakota, people can't carry here unless it's level 2 because they've got different levels of carry there. I don't know all yeah. So some states you have reciprocity. Obviously, Illinois, New York, California, you'll never carry there with the Minnesota. So
Okay.
Florida too. So
It's just weird. Florida's weird for me because you think Florida would be such an open state.
Illinois is, obviously, in New York too, they got some really strict gun laws there now too.
Yeah.
And California is a whole other country. So, but yeah, and then like New Mexico is weird too because that state is whatever you qualify with. That's the limitation. It's the biggest caliber you can shoot. So if you only shoot with 22, you can't shoot anything but a 22. If you shoot like a 38 or whatever, you get up to that specific caliber. You couldn't shoot a 45
up to the caliber.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. And then they even have a law if you're going to carry a knife for protection too. You got to get certified on that too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So different. So people that go on vacation or whatever, we get that question a lot too, and they're like, "Well, can I?" Well, you can bring a pistol through any state. It's just if you're going through Illinois, guess what? You're going to have to take it off your hip, put it in a case. It's got to be empty. Yep, and and the ammo can't be in the same case, and it's got to be separated. But yeah.
Has that always been the law? Ammo in a different case?
Honestly, don't know when that law changed, but yeah, I know in Minnesota, if you don't have a carry permit, it's got to be in a separate case.
Yeah.
Well, it's no different than your deer rifle. You can't have ammo in the same case.
Yeah, but I don't remember that always being the law. Like when I first got my gun safety, I don't remember if that was the law.
Yeah,
was it?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a difference between a gun and ammo.
I
thought they were the same.
You're going to learn a lot tonight.
Yeah, there's this stuff called gun food. You got to feed it. Some
Just
of
like
them can
blinker
shoot.
fluid for your car.
Sure.
I've never
The
kept my
muffler
ammo.
belt.
I've never kept my ammo. Like my gun's always empty and
Well, of course.
and
Well, that's how
bolt
all of us
action.
do.
And I never,
Yeah.
and I never carry my ammo in my
Right.
gun case. But I just
Mhm.
I never forgot that was a law.
Right.
Tells you that I need to brush up.
Right. Yep.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's something that you should take every so often. Just like you said, it's only good for 5 years. So
The other, yeah, right. And the other thing too is, people. Obviously, we don't really need people. There's like there's a qualifying score, but for us, it's more, can people manipulate the firearm safely and that. But then a lot of these people, they don't shoot again until their permit comes up. So they go 5 years, and if they're carrying a firearm and they don't practice with it, that's not good either. Because shooting is a perishable skill. You want to be practicing. And I know right now with the ammo, thing is so hard. It's hard to practice. And you see people that'll just stack magazines just full of rounds, and they'll sling 250 to 500 rounds in a matter of a couple of minutes, right? And I always look at that and go, well, you didn't really get a lot of practice in my opinion. For me, I would go to the range. All you need is 50 rounds. You bring one box of ammo, you bring 2 magazines, you put 1 round in each magazine, and you leave that pistol empty. You load them, you load it, you cycle it, you fire that round off, you dump that mag, you grab a new one, put that one in.
It's the best practice.
It is, because you've done 2 mag manipulations, you've done 2 target acquisitions, and you've only fired 2 rounds. You're getting a maximum pistol manipulation for the minimum amount of ammo. Because you can sit there once anyone can sit there and just sling lead after that. It's that whatever, and that's your right. That's the nice thing about this country. But it's not practical in my opinion. Plus the bad guy doesn't care if you're out of ammo, right? You're like, oh, hang on, bad guy, game off. Let me change my mag.
Give me a second.
Right. So yeah. So that's one thing I always try telling people too. Pistol manipulation is huge, and you can buy these things called snap caps too, where it's a dummy round. It won't go off, and it's got a rubberized deal on the primer, so you could actually dry fire your pistol and it doesn't damage it. But you can, for someone like you that doesn't know, Roddy doesn't know how a pistol might work. Someone like me could show you, or Vandy, show you this is how you load it, this is how it goes in, how it feeds it. You can see it and demonstrate how, and you can do it safely. Yeah, and then you can do driver. You can do taxi driver.
Wow.
At a TV.
Yeah.
You can watch a TV show, and then when a certain character comes up, you shoot the TV.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So yeah, you can work on stuff like that. And I know as dumb or stupid as it sounds, some people do that. And it's a great tool for that.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always thought about getting it just in case. I mean, if it's good for 5 years.
I always say you can get it. Doesn't mean you have to carry.
Yeah,
I have a carry permit. I only carry maybe 5 to 10% of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have
6 guns on them. They're on them right now, though. You knew we were.
I know.
Right. That's not. Well, you can in Minnesota. You can carry as many as you want.
And that's just that's how many he said he has on him.
Right. You check my ankle. No.
I actually. Is it my turn?
Yep.
I actually used my third question as my second question. I jumped the gun, so to speak. So I'm actually going to switch it up. So what was the first gun that you used as a carrying gun? Did you use a pistol, or what was your first gun that you used for carrying?
Oh, what? Yeah, pistol. I mean, the first pistol I carried was a SIG in 9mm, but it was a full size. But as a bigger guy, I can get by it. So it was a SIG 2022, which is a full size 9mm double stack. It's 15 rounds in one in the chamber. So 16 rounds. But when you got a double stack, the handle's wider because the ammo sits side by side, so the handle's going to be wider. So for a lot of people will print. So someone of your stature, you have a pistol that's that wide, and you have that on your hip. People are going to see that through your shirt or whatever, unless you have a sweatshirt or whatever. So and that was all I had. That was the first pistol I bought. So from a practical, it worked. I could carry it in that, but it's bigger, it's heavier, and that. So it's not always was the practical. Yeah. I still have it. I still love shooting it. People shoot it all the time, but it's just big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first carry.
Yeah, because I would get a smaller one just because, like you said, my stature, it's not necessarily gonna.
Actually, you know
bode
what?
well.
I lied. I take that back. You know what? It was the one I carried, but the first pistol I bought, and I carried it for about a week, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I bought a 1911. So it was like the granddaddy of all that.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I got a 1911 and a 45 ACP. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, and that's it. Yeah, it's a fantastic piece, but that's
Not one you want to carry all the time.
no, that's even bigger than the other one. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is ridiculous. I felt like you had a 45-pound weight, on the side of your hip. Like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. It's nice to know. Yeah,
Right.
I can shoot through the fridge and really hit the guy, but but it's not. No, it's from a practical standpoint. It's,
Dad's first gun, you got that 44.
yeah, I know.
44 mag.
Dirty Harry.
Yeah, he gets to the
He
class.
he brought it to the class. I know. I was just laughing. I'm like, oh, here we go.
I remember, they were practicing shooting around a corner. I go, what did that? Dad doesn't need to shoot around a corner. He can shoot through the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, speaking of that, that's what it slays me too, is you get these guys, I've been shooting for 25, 30 years. Oh, okay, cool. All right, let's just shoot with one hand. Well, why would I do that? Oh, what if one hand's not operable anymore? What if this or that? What if you're actually wrestling with the guy or the person, right? And now your one arm's tied up. Does that mean, oh, hang on, bad guy, you got my wrong arm? No. It's never going to be convenient. It's never going to be a deal. So, and what really blows people's minds is when you're righty. Well, I want you to shoot left-handed. I can't do that. I'm like, yes, you can,
can.
right? And you should be practicing.
Go shoot a 44 mag one-handed.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can do it. It's not fun.
Yeah.
You're a man's
man.
man doing that, but yeah, right. That is not the funnest to shoot.
Well,
But,
especially if it's your non-dominant hand.
oh yeah, that makes it even worse. And that always brings up a good thing too with people that shoot the semi-automatic handguns too. When they have to shoot offhand with their non-dominant hand, there's two forces that happen when you pull the trigger on a handgun. Is you got what they call muzzle flip, and they got recoil. So that barrel is gonna climb up, and then you got to be able to recover. And depending on your technique in that, if you give up anything, because once that round goes off, the slide has to come back, eject the empty casing, and go back far enough, and then come forward again and grab the new round and feed it into the chamber. If you give up some of that recoil, where you don't have that solid platform, that slide can't come back. So now you're going to have some sort of feed problem. Yeah, a jam. So people like say revolvers aren't they diss them or whatever. And revolver is actually a fantastic firearm because you don't have that feed problem. Because if you pull the trigger and it doesn't go off, you just simply pull the trigger again. Right? I don't care.
It turns rather than pushing it up.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Pretty robust, pretty foolproof. So people overlook a revolver for the defense gun, and they're not the greatest for carrying necessarily because they are bigger, but they make carry size revolvers that you can wear them in an ankle holster or whatever. Yeah, it's fantastic. They're not fun to shoot because they're smaller frame, but you're not necessarily shooting that all the time.
Did you ever see the movie Harley Davidson and the
Marlboro Man? The 454 Casull. Nobody learns on a 450. I did. Oh, that explains a lot.
He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yep. Every time you shoot that, it costs $2.
Oh,
you're up.
I got
$16.
two. Yeah, I got two. Yeah, I got two of them, and it only cost me $4.25.
You're at $20, and you haven't even hit the building.
Exactly. Yeah. You spend $12, you didn't hit anything. Oh, that's a classic. I haven't thought about that movie in so long.
I like when he gets the shotgun and rather than shoot the guy, he throws it.
Oh, he throws it, yeah.
And then hits
Guns
the
are
guy.
made to be shot, Harley, not thrown.
That was a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
God, that was a hand cannon and a half.
Oh, and it was such a short barrel, too. So.
It's a little snub nose.
Okay. But we get people in with all sorts. There was a guy came into with a 44, bought like your dad's, and this guy is smaller than Roddy. I mean, this guy was like 140 pounds soaking wet. Maybe not even that. Maybe 125 pounds. Guy's like 5'3", and he's just tack driving like you wouldn't believe. I'm like, well, man, he can shoot it, But so I pray for the person that breaks into that guy's house.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not carrying it. It's like, I gotta pull out this 10-inch barrel. Hang on. No, it's not feasible.
Dirty hair.
Yeah, right. But for home defense,
Yeah.
different story, right? You're not necessarily carrying it, right?
Do you need a
No.
You don't?
Nope.
Okay.
No, you don't. But you still need to know the laws,
Yep.
right? You need to know what you can do and what you can't do. It doesn't. You can have a firearm in your home, right? But you still need to know the laws. Like, and you can't go, "Oh, I didn't know that was a law." That's not going to.
That's not appropriate.
No, you still got to know.
So here's a question for that. So you can have a handgun without a permit to carry, right? Like that's
Of course,
what you just said.
of course, yep.
But you need to have a permit to purchase.
To buy one, yes. Yep. So and that's basically the same background check, but a permit to purchase is only good for a year.
Okay.
So if you do a permit, and the thing is, if you can get a permit to purchase, you should be able to get a permit to carry then from the same county, right? So, and that's what I did. I got a permit to purchase, and then when I got my carry permit,
But you didn't know that.
I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
What if you're gifted a gun? Is that?
Well, you're not buying one off the shelf.
So then you don't. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So like if say
you still need, but being you don't have a carry permit though, you still got to know, right? You wouldn't be able to have a loaded firearm like in your car, or in your house. Different story. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
But once you're transporting that in public, you got to know what the laws are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. Yeah, that's good to know. That's why we need to ask these questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and honestly, for home defense too, I think a shotgun. People, you buy an 870 Remington, you hear that ching ching when people rack, right area, Bandy knows what I'm talking about. You hear a pump shotgun go off. Most people are like, oh, this definitely changed the game, right?
Yep.
You got to get out of here.
Yep, exactly, right? And again, that goes to what we always stress in class. If you can do something to deconflict the situation, that's, so you hear that, that racking of the pump shotgun. A lot of people are going to like, you know what, I'm cutting bait and getting out of here.
It reminds me of that old John Wayne movie with Tallahassee. Guy couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a pistol.
But give him a shotgun.
So they go to the gunsmith, and they give him a sawed-off shotgun.
With a pistol grip?
The pistol grip. And he goes, there, anybody within 12 feet of you isn't safe now.
Exactly. Right.
Dang.
Yeah. So, all right. Since we're adding that, here's my next question. What is your everyday carry? And then the second part is, what would you recommend for a male and a female to have for an everyday carry?
Okay, so 2-part question. So currently I carry the Sig Sauer 365. So it's a subcompact striker fire. So striker fire is there's no exposed hammer on it, so everything's internal working, so it doesn't snag or anything like that. Striker fire is nice too because it doesn't matter if it's the first round or the last round. It feels the same, the trigger pull. You get into a hammered, say you take a 226 or some of these other what has an exposed hammer. So like a 1911 Roddy, to shoot a 1911, you have to cock the hammer back for the first round. And then when you pull the trigger, the slide comes back and it cocks the hammer for you after that. So you only have to cock the hammer back in the first one. But you can also carry a 1911 where the hammer's cocked back and there's a safety lever that you can push down and make it release too. I'll show you sometime.
Okay.
But no, striker fire is just you just pull the trigger and it just feels the same all the time. So a lot of people like that. It's subcompact. It's a little small. I got a pretty good sized paw, but my fingers are short. But it shoots great. I like it. You can get 10, 12, 15 round mag capacity out of it. So I carry it with a 12 round. So it extends the hand a little bit so I can get my third finger. It's a better fit in the hand than the 10 round. I can shoot it with a 10 round, but it doesn't feel as comfortable. Mm-hmm. And then the 15, now you start printing again, and it's too much, And it's single stack. So it's actually, I shouldn't say it's single stack, but it's not quite a double stack. But I like it. It shoots great and stuff. The second part then, so what would I recommend for a man or a woman? Here's the deal. And this is one thing we always stress in class too, is you need to buy a handgun that fits your hand, right? If it's something that you're going to carry, and it needs to be something that you can operate with one hand. You'll be able to reach everything. Now, there's going to be a lot of gun enthusiasts that listen to this and be like, "That's crap. You should be able to blah blah blah." And there's the gun nuts out there that say you need to once you rack a mag in the mag well, that you need that second hand to run the slide back. John Browning designed that in 1911 to be operated with one hand. And if your handgun does not operate with just the one hand, then there's something wrong. That shouldn't be a handgun you would carry for self-defense. Right? Because if, again, it comes down to where you only have one hand operating, so men and women, right, we're built different. So women have small hands. These guys will buy these big handguns and women can't shoot them because it just simply doesn't work for them. It doesn't fit their hand, right? But the problem now, too, is when it comes to, not I'm picking on women, don't get me wrong, but, if a woman's hand is smaller, you get into a smaller handgun. Now when it comes back to the muzzle flip and the recoil, you're going to get more of that because of the smaller frame and everything. But they have gotten a lot better. The gun manufacturers have gotten better as far as springing the slide and that. So it does handle the recoil, but you can still manipulate everything in that. Like women, that SIG makes a 238 or the 938 is great. A lot of people like that Glock 43 if you're in the Glocks, and that.
But just mom got a Glock.
Yeah, she got a Glock 44, which is in the 22, which is a fantastic firearm
it's
for her.
It's so fun to shoot too.
Yep, and for her, it was the perfect purchase because to get her over the hump, I love your mom, like she's an aunt, and I thought that was an excellent way to get her going and get her into it. Yeah, so
I was proud of her.
She did awesome, dude. Yeah, can we pick on her?
Yeah, go for it.
She was. I don't think she was deathly afraid, but it was a hurdle for her.
She's hated guns her whole life,
right? Yeah. And so that was a huge. And she's not the first person we had in there, and but once we kind of talked about this is how they work. This is I think the big misconception non-gun people have is the bang or that you hear the bang, right, and they don't understand what that is or and all that is just the gas that's propelling the bullet out the barrel, and it's just that escaping gas. It's just noise. Obviously, if you have it close enough to you or whatever, you can cause yourself harm because there's enough pressure there. But just once they get over the noise, it seems like, oh, okay, and now I know how it works, and it's just noise. It's not a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
And when they see me standing there and someone else is shooting and I'm not even flinching, and they're like, I'm like, it's just noise.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't hurting you. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then once we got her shoot, she's like, dude, we got to do this again. I'm like, yeah, you call me up. Let's do it. So.
She had a blast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Once she got into it, she and it's funny because my entire life she hated it. If we go out and go shoot, she went in the house.
Right. Yep. Whereas my mom, grew up on a farm too. But she grew up around him and she shot him and stuff, so it doesn't bug her so much.
That's what I don't get, is because my mom did too. She always grew up around guns. All my uncles, all her brothers, all my grandpa.
But
she just.
But unfortunately, your mom came from that era too, where if they didn't show any interest, they just didn't work with them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So. Not right or whoa.
That was my stomach.
That was good.
That was yeah. But not right or wrong. But that's just we get a lot of women in that it scares them. I mean, they are and rightfully so. I had a woman one time that we had her at a range and she shot a round out of a 22, and she set the pistol down and she cried on me for 15 minutes. Because this was like this woman's biggest fear. It was like there was no bigger fear than shooting a gun. And then so I just let her dump because I'm like, we're gonna do this. I don't care how long it takes. And I go, all right, we're shooting again. Let's do it. And she shoot around, and then it was about 30 seconds, and then all right, let's do it again. And then next thing you know, want to try a 9mm? Oh, okay. And the first round I was like, ooh, but then I was like, hey, And the next thing you know, she ripped up every piece of ammo I had,
Wow.
She's like, we're out of ammo? I'm like, well, the only thing we got left is a 45, She's like, I'll try it. Next thing you know. So, but then, she gave me a hug and I said, just call me. Let's keep working. And then her husband calls me about 3 hours later. I'm like, oh, and he's like, what did you do? And I'm like, so you're like, this could go one of two ways. Listen to this conversation. We're going. What was the handgun she shot? Because we're gonna go out and buy it right now. I was like, oh, okay, so it was good, right?
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, so, So it's cool.
So
But
you got her the 45.
no. Let's get that subcompact Kimber for like $14.99. But dude, I've had a lot of people. I've had people that have come in. They've been raped, beaten, whatever, and they've got OFPs, or order for protection, and that person's getting out of jail. Wendy deals with that a lot more than I do, being that she's got a criminal justice degree, and women just like dealing with women sometimes. So I don't get offended, when people request her specifically. So
yeah.
But I mean, I've worked with cops, I've worked with judges, I've worked with some highfalutin people that I can't talk about, but too, and I've worked with people with disabilities. We did a shoot one time with this disabled vets. Oh my God, these guys were so funny. This guy had no legs, right? So, it was a double amputee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's got those springy legs, or whatever. So he's jumping up and down, grabbing his crotch, and he's shooting gangster style. It was just hilarious, So, so some positive stuff too. But then you got we had a guy too from the Marine Corps. He lost an arm in Afghanistan. So he's like, I got to learn how to do this one-handed. All right, let's figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked with him too, So, yeah, and that's the thing. You just,
you find a way.
You find a way. You make it work, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Is that you again?
Yeah, myself. I told you I haven't
Better
been
get
eating
some more meatballs, bro.
I haven't been eating much lately.
Here's some veggies.
Start grazing.
All right, my next question is actually I'm going to ask you a two-parter as well. They're completely unrelated. I just want to know, if you were to recommend a handgun for me, what would you recommend?
We got to go try some.
Okay.
So you came to me and said, I want to carry. We would go to the store and I would make you try everything that they had.
Okay.
And find something that works for you. Because what works for me might not work for you. And, it's got to feel good in your hand. It's like a bow. Bandy will attest to that too. If it doesn't feel good in your hand, you're not going to shoot it good.
Yeah. And
you got to be able to, as that cheesy, you got to be one with your gun. But there's truth to that. You got to, you got to be able to handle that and manipulate it. And it's got to feel good. So that doesn't care I don't care who you are, man, woman, whatever. Let's go try out a bunch, see what you like. Because you go to the store and these guys will push, or it's in guys, but people will push something on somebody and this wasn't good. This, because we get that all the time. You get these people like, I don't really like this. I'm like, well, I wouldn't have sold you this because I can plainly see this is not working for you. You know, or this wasn't.
The funny thing is like, we're pretty close to the same size.
Yeah.
What I like might not be what you like.
Right.
And what feels good in my hand might not feel good in your hand.
You know, right? Take a bowling ball, right?
Yeah.
You take the web, just the thumb hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has, someone like me, you look at my thumb, I don't have a web, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how I bevel a thumb hole for myself would not be like maybe how we'd bevel one for you.
Yeah.
Right? And if a bowling ball doesn't feel good in your hand, you're not going to throw it well, right?
No.
So the same thing with a handgun. You two could shoot the same thing, and you might like my 365. Andy might like it. You might not, because it does have some muzzle flip and and some recoil on it where you're like, I don't,
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot of it too is what are you going to do with it? If it's carry, it's one thing, and sometimes too carry firearms, you guys. It's not always convenient. You might have to go, this sucks to shoot, and I'll shoot it enough to be good with it, but I'm not going to take it to the range and dump a lot of rounds through it.
It's just kind of an emergency thing.
Well, yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to that, but yeah, right. But yeah, it's something, as long as you're familiar with it and you can shoot it well, but it might not be something like, I'm going to go to the range and do some stuff, but I'm not going to shoot that a ton. You know, where I grab something bigger where, it'll handle the recoil and the muzzle flip. So.
Yeah. Okay. No, well, that's the first part of the question. The second part is, what is your favorite gun that you've ever owned?
Any gun?
Any gun.
Wow.
It could be squirt
gun.
I'm curious to know this answer. I'm like,
here's the deal. So you take archery, you take rifle, shotgun, pistol. You take those 4 disciplines. I like archery the best. But as far as a firearm goes, I think my favorite would probably be my Model 70 Winchester. 270 in a bolt action. That's my deer gun. and I know that gun, I hadn't rifle hunted in a number of years, and I just take it out in the woods in the dark. You can load it in the stand. I don't even need to look. I know where everything's at. It's just, and Vandy can attest to that too. You get so used to a certain gun. It's just,
I shot a lot of guns, and my 270 is it's such a great rifle.
It is pretty versatile. John Wooters was a writer back in the 60s, and he said you could take any game in North America with a 270 Winchester. Granted, are there other firearms that would be better now? Oh, absolutely. There's, obviously, it's been some huge.
It's such a flat shooting bullet too.
Yeah, up to 300 yards. You might only have 2-3 inches of drop. So, but there's a lot of great. But then it's in the pre-64s. So it's kind of got that Mauser action on it. So it's got the big, huge extractor claw on it. So I've never had any problems with it feeding or ejecting or anything, or freezing up on me or anything. And that, so yeah, just that's the one rifle. Like, oh, here we got to go. That's what I'm gonna. If I need a rifle, that's what I'm grabbing. So yeah, is it the most sentimental gun? Man, killed a lot of deer with that. But that 30-30 was sentimental. But I would say give that to my nephew. So we pass that on. I have a 308 that my other grandfather had, a Remington and an auto,
I think that's going to be my next rifle.
742, it was kind of a classic. 308, I think is fantastic caliber too. People overlook everything's. I need a 300 Win Mag. I'm like, no, you don't need no 300 Win Mag.
I think a 308's what I've been looking at.
Yeah,
I've been bouncing around between the 7mm and the 308 and the 300 Mag, but I think I'm going to go with the 308.
It'll do everything. You need. Obviously the Marine Corps used it for a number of years. To 1,000 yards. So, it should work on pretty much anything we're gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're gonna, it depends what you're doing. If you ask me what I would buy for a next rifle, I'd buy that 6.5 Creedmoor. That's really flat shooting. And stuff. That'd be kind of fun, if I were going to get it, or an AR. I suppose at some point I should probably bite the bullet and get on that.
I know.
Too, but
I can't believe I haven't pulled the trigger on an AR yet.
I haven't. Yeah, I don't know why I haven't
either.
Yeah,
like you've never shot it. You've never pulled the trigger.
Oh, I've shot.
I've shot.
Oh, you pulled the trigger then.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you do if your permit papers are lost, destroyed, damaged?
Oh, your permit. If you lose your permit?
Yeah, if you lose it.
Yeah, you got to go to the county or to the the county again and reapply for another permit.
Oh, you have to reapply it and everything. Oh,
yeah.
You don't just.
Well, they should be able to issue it to because it was good, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing too is if you move, you need to, if you move to another, even if it's in the same county, you should reapply too because you want your permit to match your driver's license, the address. Yeah. Otherwise, some cops probably won't have a big deal with that because they understand people move and stuff. But then there are other people that, or other cops or people that might not be as crazy about that, and might give it a little more gruff. So let's not give them any more reason to hassle you than right? Just try to make sure everything matches.
No, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah. He said if you lose, you should report that as soon as possible because someone might be trying to buy a firearm with your permit too. Yeah, so because that's the one thing too. If you have a permit to carry,
you're up for murder,
right? If you have a permit to carry, it's the same thing as a permit to purchase. So if you have a carry permit, you can go buy a pistol and buy it. You can buy it the same day.
So you can do that. Okay,
you've got a background check. What people do though is people will do what they call a straw purchase, where you got a relative uncle, Uncle Joe that got a DW or something, or a felony, right, where he can't technically buy a firearm, but then I'll go buy it for you, right?
Yeah.
Technically, you're not supposed to do that, right? That's actually a law, but and they call that a straw sale, and you see that happen. Speaking of that, though, my brother had a pistol stolen out of his truck. and it was used in a murder in LA 3 weeks later.
Oh, wow.
man.
Dude, handguns is crazy how fast that if they get stolen, how fast they get transferred and moved in and it's a huge market in
Wow.
that. Yeah. So you really want to, really got to try to do a good job of keeping them secure, locking them, get a vault, get a vault or get a gun safe and that. People have found all sorts of interesting ways of locking them up or hiding them,
Right.
so the bad guys can't find them or whatever. I call them bad guys,
Yeah.
bad people,
Yeah.
I should say, because there's a lot of women out there too, believe it or not, or there's some bad women out
Yeah.
there too, but
Have you heard Kevin Hart's special about it?
which one?
Where he's got handguns hidden all over the house.
Oh.
He's like, hold on, let me check my laundry.
Right.
Hold on, let me wipe my butt one more time.
Hidden
gun. Let me see what's in the stove on this. Oh, hidden gun.
Right. Yep. But people will hide them. They bury them in the cabinets and stuff like that, and you see the mantle stuff. You see that, like the picture frame too, where you go up. Like some of the companies too now, they make like Hornady makes a deal where you have like you wear like a wristwatch, but it's a fob where you come close enough to the safe, it just ping it out, automatically opens it up. So when you're sleeping at night, you can have your pistol locked up, but then all of a sudden you hear an intruder or whatever, you can just rub your wrist over it and boom, it opens right away. Boom, you can grab your handgun and you're good to go.
That's cool.
Right. But speaking of that though, then first thing I'd be doing was calling 911, and then what I would do is just chuck the phone in and leave it on so that 911 operator can hear, because that verbal, we talk about this thing called verbal judo, where if someone might not be there, but if they hear you go, I have a gun, I need you to leave, I need you to step back or whatever, so that 911 operator could testify in court on your behalf saying, because they'll play the tape, right? Because they got it, but then hey, I heard that person specifically ask this person 5-6 times or whatever, and they kept coming. And at that point, if they keep coming, they're not there for cards, right? They're there for not good things. So
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I were to have a gun in my house, I would hide it like behind a poster that says "There's not a gun behind here."
Don't even think about looking here.
Yep.
Right.
I don't think you should get a gun.
Yeah, right.
I think I'm
Some
gonna.
people, you're like, maybe that's sometimes a good idea. Here's a bat.
I can operate a bat.
Ninja
I can-
phone
Exactly,
stars
right? Exactly, right?
No, I think instead of getting a gun, maybe I should invent an app that sounds like I'm loading a gun.
Mm.
I think they got him.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. They already got the ringtone.
Dang it!
Right.
I thought I was onto something.
No, been done.
Damn.
So,
All right, what advice would you give to somebody that doesn't know about guns, somebody like me, but is looking to get a gun?
Honestly, I'd take a class.
Take a class
Because
first.
we even offer just a basic pistol, so it's not necessarily a carry class, but we do the first half. We teach you how the firearms work. We teach you safety and this and that, and then we actually go out and shoot and show you all of that. And then that way, you're a little more informed because we, obviously product knowledge. What do you like for an action in a pistol? What do you want for a pistol? What are you going to use a pistol for?
Mhm.
And then learn how they load them, unload them, and that way you can have you're a little more informed. When you go buy one, you kind of like, all right, this is what I want,
Yeah.
And then like most people, you buy the first one, you're like, yeah, I like this, but what I want one, it does a little bit of this, and then the next one, and then you make a little bit better purchase on the second
I like
one.
a Gatling.
Multiple capacity. I got 2 guns, one for each.
Want to make sure that he gets you.
Yeah. Right.
I want to get a gun called a catapult.
Hold on while I clamp this down.
Yeah.
Right. You're gonna love this.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Don't move. Don't
yeah.
move.
I want to
See the X?
show you
Yeah.
something.
You see the X? Go stand on
right
that
there.
X.
I got a low ceiling. Let me get closer.
Boy, when they crap their pants, if you pull out the old mortar tube and you're like, da-dunk. And they're like, what was that? And all of a sudden they look up, oh, this is not good.
Scatter.
Yep. It's like throwing the old lawn dart up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but what is the rule for an intruder?
Okay. This is where we get in depth a little bit. So there are different levels of what we call B&E or breaking and entering. If somebody is picking the lock on your door to come in your house, are they necessarily a threat? And the answer, we don't know, right? Because we don't know what their intent is at that point. But if they're picking your lock, they're trying to break in because more likely they're trying to just steal something, right? If they don't know you're there, right? So that's like level 1, right? Did you leave a window open? Did you leave a door unlocked? Or they can just simply come in, right? So, and you don't know what the intent is. But now if someone kicks the door in and they got a bat, they got a gun, they got a crowbar or something, they're usually not there for, again, they're not here for turkey dinner. They're here for bad reasons, right? Yeah. So that changes the level of threat. But you still need to, give them that challenge or that verbal judo. Stop, I have a gun, get back, just leave, just ask them to leave, right?
Yep.
If they turn around and leave, you can't shoot them in the back, okay?
Yep.
The one scenario, and I always hate doing this, but if you get married or whatever, and you come home and your wife, you can just see your wife splayed out on the floor because she's just been raped, and the guy's running out the door. You can't shoot him in the back. That's a revenge killing. Mm-hmm. You gotta let him go. And people, you get these 70-year-old guys like, I'll just run them down. Yeah, they all think they're the Terminator 1000. Like I'll just run the son of a bitch down. I'll get them, shoot them, and then I'll just drag them back in the house. And you're like, it doesn't work that way because they're gonna CSI your ASS, and it's not gonna be good. So, because they can tell right away, if it was a good shoot or not anyway, because they know where the entrance hole is. So. Yeah. Plus, the other thing too is, you come in and say, was that the only guy or the only person in the house? Is there other people stealing stuff while the other person's, raping your wife? You don't know. So your first thing is you need to push the emotion aside and call 911 and stay with her, protect her until the police get there, right? Which is hard to do because I teach it. I still don't know how I would react if it actually
I don't think anybody would.
Right, you don't know until it actually happens, right? So, but that's what we teach and that's what we preach. Because again, it goes back to clearing the house. Are any of us trained to actually clear a house? I'm not military trained. I'm not, or police or whatever.
Not everybody.
I don't right. I don't teach offensive tactics. I teach defensive. The threat's got to come to me or to us, right?
Right.
Someone that carries you have a permit or to carry, you don't look for the fight. All you do is protect yourself if the fight comes to you. It has to come to you. That's the one thing. It doesn't mean you can be a cowboy or a cowgirl or whatever. That fight or that threat has to come to you first, and then you still have to try to deter it. Do or make every effort to diffuse it. Like. Again, that verbal judo, or whatever, and to just get that person to, again, if you can get them to leave or where you don't have to use your firearm, that's the best case scenario, I don't know where I was going to go from here, but again, going back, again, it's just the level of threat. And the other thing too, you got to realize is the threat. So, who do we know that's like a small woman, that the three of us would know? So even like say you're one of your sister, right? Perfect, right? So you take Sabrina. If Sabrina comes at me with her fist because I called her, a bad name, or whatever, I can't shoot her, right? That's the threat doesn't match, right? Because I should be able to fend Sabrina off
with those rings on her finger.
Yeah, I know. Not to say I'm not saying she's not a feisty, bro. But. But that's that threat, that level. But now if Sabrina comes at me with a knife, with a gun, that changes the threat level has changed, right? So I can match that, right? Like I should be able to. But now it's like now let's flip it around. So if I come at Sabrina, I don't necessarily have a firearm, but my physical stature, could I cause her great bodily harm or death with my bare hands? I could, not that I would, but you know what I'm saying,
right?
Could she use a firearm on me? And yes, if that level of threat. So you got to understand what the level of the threat is to meet the force continuum.
Yeah.
Then that gives me like I've seen these videos like the guys that are kidnapping a kid.
Okay, let's talk about it.
A guy comes in like you're in a store or whatever. I've seen these videos.
Yep.
Where you're in the store with your kid and the guy comes in to try to take your kid, and I've seen people pull out their gun.
All right, so let's talk about that. If someone is stealing your kid, especially a small kid, let's say they're 2, 3, 4 years old, right? And they're taking your kid, do you take that shot?
Absolutely.
Okay, now some people would say that you might hit your own kid, but here's the deal: if they get away with your kid, are you ever gonna? What are the odds of you seeing your kid again?
Yeah.
Probably not good, right? Because more often than not, only bad things happen from that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You take these young kids to 8, 9, 10 years old, and they sex traffic these kids. We are in the top 3 in the nation for sex trafficking. It's not this dude. It's no joke out
Minnesota.
Yeah.
there. Yeah, Minnesota is horrible.
94 is one of the most.
Well, actually, it's the res.
Is it?
Again, I'm not people. I'm not. But here's the deal: like you take Bemidji, you take that Leech Lake area, and that you're not that far from Canada. So if they can get them on the res, the government can't get to them easily, and then they can get them. Once they get them on the res, then they can ship them up in Canada. And once they're in Canada, you're gone. You can't.
Wow.
You're not getting them back. Right. So it's horrible, and it's really, really bad. It's like Duluth is another spot too. It's I love Duluth. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but and it doesn't get talked about.
Yeah.
And it's not just girls, it's boys too. And they in the video games and stuff. There was a guy on Andy Stump's podcast. He does this Cleared Out. He was a former Navy SEAL, but he had this guy on, and he was a former Navy SEAL too. And he's actually started a company where they try tracking down the kids. So these Navy SEALs and Green Berets and these airborne guys, they're coming out and they got, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. So they're hiring these guys because they have some of that training where we need to track down this kid before we lose them. You know what I mean? And they actually specialize in that and try tracking down, because he had a case where it was a 12-year-old boy was playing Xbox or plays whatever it was, playing a video game, and someone conned this, or not conned him. I mean, he suckered the kid out of the house, like, hey, do you know what's going on? Let me show you this video game. So the kid went out and they took him, and in a matter of a day and a half, he was 4 states away.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And luckily they found him, otherwise he would have been gone.
So going back to my, is that if you do shoot, is that a clean shoot?
If what? Oh, on your kid? Yeah. Well, is the threat real?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real threat, right? They're they're taking your kid, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. That's
because the threat's still there, right? Yeah. The threat's still there.
That's quick. 4 states in a day and a half.
Yeah. But they were even got it twisted to the point where they steal this, they steal family's kid or whatever, and then they tell them if you go to the cops or whatever, we'll kill him. And then they end up there was another case too where they stole this gal or this family's daughter, and they contacted the mother, and they ended up using her in sex trafficking, to keep. They used her as a sex slave in a sense.
Wow.
And they hung that daughter over her head, and that went on for years, and she just kept praying, well, maybe they'll release my daughter, and they
never did.
It's just sad. It's really scary out there.
That's very scary.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Right. And I have a daughter who's, again, she's a freshman in college, Bandy's got a young girl, it's it's tough being a parent sometimes, because that's the one fear you have, because it's
my biggest fear, man.
You can't, that's something you can't control, and you pray they make good decisions, and, and I tell my daughter the same thing, just know your surroundings, know where you are. Don't get too crazy in public where you can't control or whatever.
Make sure you're around good people.
Right. And the other thing too is certain states, people that even just solicit prostitution, say a guy, you hook up with a hooker, so to speak, whatever. You do that 3 times with the same gal, you could actually be charged with, sex slavery, because you don't know if she's truly doing it to make money, or is she actually being a sex, right?
Yeah.
So don't do it, guys. It's just because you don't know. You did, it's.
I went to school for law enforcement, and my police
professor.
The professor. Yeah.
He was a cop. He was actually a detective down in Florida.
Sure.
And Don Knotts actually followed him when he was doing Miami Vice.
Oh, no kidding!
Yeah.
Wow. How funny is that?
And or Don Johnson.
Don Johnson. Yeah.
Don
Knotts. I'm like, Mayberry. Mayberry is a stretch from Miami Vice.
Miami.
I just was.
But he goes. one of the first things he told us in class was he wished prostitution was still legal. And he goes, I'll tell you why. He goes, those were the best informants we ever had on the law enforcement.
Really?
Wow.
He said, we cracked more cases because of the prostitution
Really?
than any other lead that we ever got. He said, those prostitutes heard more things in those rooms than probably anybody.
Pillow talk.
And they'd share stories because they had no ties to these guys.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or if we brought in one of their friends, they wouldn't tell us anything.
Yeah.
But the prostitutes didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He said, I had 12 girls working for me.
In a sense, yeah.
Dang.
And they nabbed a lot of people that way.
He said, you know how many lives I've saved because of prostitution?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's only, one state that's legal?
Yeah. Nevada?
Yeah. Everywhere but Clark County, which
Yeah.
is where Las Vegas is,
Nope.
technically. Yeah.
Wow.
But more prostitution occurs in Vegas than,
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane to me.
Yeah. Well, I think we're getting to that time of the night.
What's the time?
Our dedication.
Nice.
Ricky, we give the dedication to our guest every time. So who are we dedicating to?
We're gonna kind of kick it old school.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello.
You know, when I was back in my day, but that stick they did with the baseball. Who's on first, what's on second.
Oh, that's such a good bit.
It's such a good bit. It's clean humor, right? Obviously, because back in the day it had to be clean, but because in the late 40s, early 50s. Yeah. But if you watch that, and in the delivery and the timing is just impeccable. How they fed off each other so well, and in real life they didn't really like each other all that well. I mean, they weren't the greatest of buds, yeah. But they had, Bud Abbott, was always the intellectual guy, and Lou always played that goofy guy where that give me 2 10s for the 5,
Yeah.
I mean, just he played that sucker so good, but they just fed off each other. I really like that, I like, a lot of comedians and stuff too, but it just, that one, for whatever reason, those bits those guys did, it kind of the grandfather of, again, the timing and just how they, they could take something that was it's clean, but you're just in stitches because you see the frustration and you can just like, oh my gosh, this guy is just not getting what's going on.
Exactly.
And they were one of the first of their time.
Right.
For those kinds of bits.
Yeah.
You got Red Skelton and too. You got, because you got some of them improv shows. You had him on, I forget what was that guy, that just, they would do those, like Don Knotts and some of those guys, they would have those bits or whatever, and then they get him on there and he'd play the doctor or this goofy guy, and he just.
What are you talking about?
What was his name? Was this Red Skelton? Was it?
No, I know.
Red Green.
No.
Just kidding.
Shoot. But yeah, and they're all like, we just don't know where the skit's going to go. And it's just every time too, he would just, oh my gosh. Yeah.
You gotta look. God dang, I gotta think. I'm going to look at it.
But some of them burn roast too, back in the day, like Don Rickles and how they would burn some of them. Oh my gosh. Yeah. They would burn John Wayne. You're just like, oh my gosh, they're burning him too right now. And it's so good, So yeah.
I mean, if you've never seen the Abbott and Costello,
look it up on
Who's
YouTube.
On First?
Yeah, you got to look that.
It's one of the best. Yep. It's the most classic.
In the timing of it, just you watch, you just kind of, what's it?
Foster Brooks.
Foster Brooks. Yes, that's his name. Yep.
Have you ever seen him?
I've seen a little bit.
Oh, jeez.
A guy that could play a drunk that never drank.
Yep.
I know, right?
Yep.
And
never had a drink.
Stumbling and just, oh my gosh, got it down cold.
Him on the Dean Martin show.
Mm-hmm.
Was great.
Those guys too. I mean, the Dean Martin hour. You had Dean and
Lewis, Jerry Lewis.
Well, yeah, him and then Sammy Davis.
Sammy Davis.
Yeah,
the Rat Pack.
Oh yeah, I mean, and Frank and all. I mean, again, Frank Sinatra could sing, but yet guy was pretty funny too. I mean, he could, right. You could ad lib and you could throw people in like, and that was kind of obviously they always consulted the golden years of Hollywood or the gold, But that was, back then they didn't have the special effects. They didn't have this and that. They had to lay it down, and sell it, and they did,
Yeah, yeah, they did. It's such a good job back, especially like comedy was not what it was today back then.
Well, the crazy thing about Abbott and Costello is everybody knew who they were.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Do you know how hard that was back in the 40s and 50s?
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't have your Facebook, your
No,
Instagram.
social media wasn't
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
No, all you had was TV and radio.
They barely had. You barely had a newspaper.
I think all they had was MySpace at that point. Right?
Yeah, right.
They had the dial-up modem.
Yeah.
No, but like you think, because there's some of these old churches where you're like the fireside room. You're like, what is that? Well, that's the room they had the radio. So people couldn't afford a radio. They would go to the church on Sunday night and they would listen to the weekly news, the national news broadcast.
And that was their entertainment for the week.
Right. It was the week. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. You think about how far that media has come. And then obviously they mentioned the TV and that. My dad was funny. My dad was born in 1947. The house that he grew up in, they didn't have a telephone until 1952. They didn't have power till 1955. They didn't have an indoor shitter till 1993 because my grandparents still used the outhouse.
Wow.
So you think about,
That's crazy.
It is. And my dad was number 4, the oldest boy, but he was the last one born in home. So the rest of my uncles and my one aunt were born in a hospital, but the first 4 of them were born at home. So that's old school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my grandpa or my dad's dad, he went to school, one room, like Little House on the Prairie. It was a 1-room school room or, school and all that stuff. So I'm only 2 generations from that. You think about,
it's not that long.
It's not that long. It's crazy how far, it's come,
Yeah.
So you tell kids now that and they don't understand it,
No.
or don't get it or don't care or whatever it is.
It's crazy what these kids don't know at all. I put on a bowling clinic like 4 or 5 years ago, and we got done early, like 15 minutes early, and the kid goes, "Hey, can I borrow your cell phone? Call my mom."
Right.
I go, "Just go use the payphone." He goes, "What? Well, what's a payphone?"
Oh, I know.
He had no idea
that those even existed. Yeah. Drive-in movies. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They're starting to coming back, though.
Yeah, I think those are starting to make a comeback.
First drive-in movie I ever saw was a double feature. It was The Aristocats and Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh,
Nice.
All right. Yep.
That was my computer. It's running out.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you died.
We're done with questions. So we're good.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
well, I think that was a great episode.
I think it was a very good episode.
Awesome.
We're definitely going to have to get you back on here, though, Ricky. I think
Well, we got
a
more
lot
stories.
to talk
Oh,
about.
Oh,
we
yeah,
got
we
more
have a lot of stories.
So,
We just scratched the surface.
Yep.
Anything you want to push or talk about, or
No, just other than just pimping, Armed with Options again.
Yeah,
You can look
for
us
sure.
up online, or maybe we can send something out or whatever, or whatever. But
throw it on our
I think it'd
page?
be fun to maybe you and I can do a class or something, or not maybe a class, but just
well,
Shoot
yeah, we
around.
can go shoot sometime.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing too that we always do is if you take the class with myself or Wendy or through Armed with Options, it doesn't end with that class. You can come out and shoot at her place. She has 11 acres out in Elk River.
oh wow,
So you can go out there and shoot, and it doesn't cost anything other than you just got to bring your own gun and ammo and that.
yeah,
But yeah, and we continue to work with people. I get it doesn't happen all the time, but I'll get someone will call and go, I need.
I haven't heard any.
yeah,
I know quite a few people that have taken your class, and I haven't heard a complaint yet.
All right. Well, we try,
yeah,
and we care because that's the thing,
Yeah.
People will do that class to make money, and we're more the knowledge
Share the
is power.
knowledge,
Yeah,
yeah. You'd rather have a good quality person out there.
Well, it's let's face it. You look at the ramifications of if you pull the trigger, So, you want that person informed, and that. So, and granted, you're not going to put them through every scenario possible in 4 hours or whatever. But
Yeah.
at least you hope they leave more informed than when they came in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in that.
Well, you think
With a
about
gun.
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
So-
you think about the ramifications
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
So. All right, guys. Once again, if you guys are listening, we're on most platforms. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go add, subscribe, friend request, do whatever you got to do. Where else can they catch us?
You can catch us at www.thestupidestpodcast.com.
All right, guys. That's it for this episode. Have a good one.
Have a good one.